Chapter 2301 Black Holy Mountain, Yingguang River. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Okay, I'll send you out, you can deduct a scale from me, stimulate the power of the scale, you can escape from this seabed and then return to the place where you came first. After that, I will push the power from the air, forcibly open a gap, and you take the opportunity to get out. Bloody said, although Yi Tian doesn't care about this duplicate body, but Oxue wants to send him out. If he doesn't go out, it will cause Oxue's suspicion. After all, there is no elementary infinite life form who has innocently abandoned the clone after possessing a clone, which is too abnormal. Click. Yi Tian pulled out a scale from Yu Shui's body, and the power on the scale was immediately aroused, forming a special kind of fluctuation. This kind of fluctuation can actually resist the power of the seal here, allowing Yi Tian to exert enough strength. Obviously, Biao Shui has been sealed here for endless years, and it is not that he has not realized anything. At least he has a better understanding of the seal and has done some research. Soon, Yi Tian left this sealed void and returned to the outside world. As soon as he came out, Yi Tian immediately sealed the entrance, and did not allow any supreme ancestor of the 9th layer or the level of reinforcement to break into here, so as to avoid any accident. Cut off the sky. Dongchen Daozu and the others came here and asked Yi Tian about the crack. After all, the crack was too big, and the fluctuation caused by it was not small. Naturally, they all knew the existence of the crack. Endless Daozu, what is at the other end of the crack? Dongchen Daozu asked. Yi Tian didn't hide it, and said directly, that section is a sealed void, even if I entered there, I would be directly sealed with 90% of my strength. And what was sealed there was a high-level immeasurable life form, and the hole was cut off. Montenegro exists to seal him. He wanted me to release him. I was afraid of danger, so I refused. From now on, no Taoist ancestors are allowed to enter there. High-level immeasurable beings. When Dongchen Daozu and the others heard it, they were immediately shocked. They are only the first-order immeasurable beings, and the intermediate-order immeasurable beings are unmatched existences for them, not to mention the high-order immeasurable beings. Those existences are afraid that they can easily destroy a group of elementary-level immeasurable life forms, far beyond their imagination. This kind of existence is actually sealed here. Not long after that, other forces gradually became aware of the fact that a high-level immeasurable life form was sealed, but they did not dare to enter there, otherwise they would not be able to get out after entering. The same is true for those who have cut off the restricted area to the enhanced level. Even if they know the information, they will not dare to enter there. Not only that, they didn't dare to destroy and cut off Montenegro, otherwise the seal would be completely broken, and the terrifying high-level immeasurable life form would come out. That would be a disaster. But no one knew about Yi Tian's cooperation and transaction with the high-level immeasurable life form, and Yi Tian did not disclose it. Xuanqi territory. Yi Tian's cloned body, Xuanming great ancestor, left the true mountain territory and went to the true demon territory. The true demon territory is different from the true mountain territory. The true devil territory is a territory dominated by the true demon clan. There are no ancient giant cities here, only tribes, similar to the situation in the Panshin territory. However, an astonishing war broke out in the true demon lord long ago, so the resources of this world are not very rich, and the fighting is very serious. Moreover, the real demon caller is relatively exclusive, and the general innumerable life forms of the first level really dare not come to the real demon caller. Yi Tian came to the true demon territory, naturally because the chance that the blood left behind was somewhere in the true demon territory. Not long after entering the true demon territory, Yi Tian found himself being targeted. However, the other party did not drive him away. After all, he didn't do anything, and the other party couldn't make a move. But in this case, it is easy to be tracked. Yi Tian didn't care about these, he directly flew away, and soon came to a place in the real devil's territory. It's here. Yi Tian looked at a black mountain in front and muttered in his heart. This is the territory that used to be Blood Sacred Black Sacred Mountain, and this Black Sacred Mountain has a killing formation and many defensive formations arranged by Bing Shui. Even if it is a high-level immeasurable life form, it is difficult to break into this place. Although it has been said that countless years have passed, the great ancestors of the true demon lord should not have broken into this place. Yi Tian obtained the information given by Biao Shui, so he knew the formation method very well and had a way to enter the Black Sacred Mountain. And the treasure land is inside the Black Sacred Mountain. Just after entering, you can use the treasure there to lift the boundless body up. And when Yi Tian came here, some great ancestors also came nearby. After all, Yi Tian pointed directly at the black sacred mountain, which naturally caught their attention. At the moment, they are discussing in private. Quote. This great ancestor is very unfamiliar. He is not the great ancestor of our true demon lord. What did he do in Black Sacred Mountain? Black Sacred Mountain is the residence of the legendary great ancestor Oxue, but great ancestor Oxue has been missing for endless years, and may have long since fallen, but he must have left a good thing in Black Sacred Mountain, but it's a pity that we broke into it. Not the Black Holy Mountain. Could it be that this strange ancestor has a way to enter the Black Sacred Mountain? Impossible. If there is really a way to enter the Black Holy Mountain, the great ancestor has already entered, and it is his turn. Look at it. If he really has a way to enter, then grab him and ask for a way to enter. At this moment, Yi Tian directly entered the Black Sacred Mountain range. A formation appeared, trying to stop Yi Tian. However, when Yi Tian waved his hand, a wave of fluctuations appeared, which directly offset the power of the formation, allowing him to easily pass through the formation. Layers of formations were broken open, and Yi Tian's figure quickly disappeared, finished. Swish! A great ancestor appeared, showing an incredible look. He actually entered the Black Holy Mountain. We can't get in, we can only wait for him to come out, block the place, and once he makes a move, do it immediately. Black Holy Mountain. Yi Tian stepped into this place, and immediately came to a silver-white river in the Black Sacred Mountain as instructed by the blood. Yingguang River, the energy here can temper the immeasurable body. Even the superior immeasurable body will be tempered quickly. Before the immeasurable body reaches the small state, it will be useful. He plans to use this silver light river to raise the promised body to the realm of small achievement. In that case, his strength will be terribly improved. Of course, the Black Sacred Mountain has other treasures besides here, and some treasures can enhance his boundless will and boundless Taoism. Chapter 2302 The body of the infinite is small. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian has enough time to practice here, so he is not in a hurry to go to other places. He first condensed his own body copy body, and then let this copy body enter the galaxy of light. Boom! The energy in the silver light river was absorbed by Yi Tian's body, rapidly refining the promise body. With the help of the galaxy river's energy, Yi Tian's promise body improved at a terrifying speed. It must be known that the progress of the promise body is not merely to improve the physical strength, but to fundamentally increase the strength of the promise body, which is difficult to achieve. During these years, Yi Tian also tried to cultivate the Wuji body, but it was very difficult, so there was almost no progress. But in this river of silver light, his progress was incredible. As the years go by, Yi Tian's promise body is getting stronger and stronger, but the energy of the silver light river is also being consumed, it is not endless. If it were infinite, how many great ancestors would have to cultivate the immeasurable body? In the blink of an eye, the first years of the tens of thousands of worlds have passed. For Yi Tian, the first year of tens of thousands of worlds is a relatively long time. After so many years, he almost consumed 220 of the energy of the silver light river. And this day, Yi Tian's promise body finally ushered in a breakthrough. Boom! The shackles of the promise body were broken, and the strength of the body skyrocketed, and in the blink of an eye, it was several times stronger than before. The body of the infinite has become small. Yi Tian said excitedly. After reaching this level, it will be difficult for the promise body to progress further. Yi Tian continued to practice and found that the energy of the Yingguang River was useless to him, and to continue to practice here was just a waste of energy. So, he left the Yingguang River and went to another place in the Black Holy Mountain. In a time and space on the top of the Black Holy Mountain, an incomparably stalwart black giant tree stands here, and this black giant tree releases a black light to illuminate the four directions of time and space. And Yi Tian got into here and came under the black giant tree. Boundless true trees, Yi Tian muttered. This is the immeasurable true tree that Bai Shui told him. This immeasurable true tree is a strange tree that Bai Shui once found in a treasure land, and then moved to the Black Holy Mountain by him, and he paid a certain price to continue to grow, nurture. The immeasurable truth CJFJ tree can speed up the practice, and can also assist in comprehending the immeasurable path. For example, if you comprehend and practice here, you can comprehend the limitless way of the limit state faster. And Yi Tian is now only one step away from comprehending the limitless Tao. If he comprehends it here, he will soon be able to break the shackles and comprehend the limitless Tao to the limit. So, Yi Tian sat cross-legged under the infinite true tree and began to comprehend the infinite Tao. What a powerful effect, even the Wusho Jinshan can't compare to this immeasurable true tree. Yi Tian muttered. He estimated that he only needed a few hundred years of the first year to raise the infinite Tao to the limit. Just like that, time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, the first year of more than 800 realms has passed. The fluctuations of the limit realm immeasurable Tao spread out from Yi Tian's body. At this moment, his infinite Tao has already broken through and reached the limit state. Finally broke through, Yi Tian muttered. Afterwards, he took out the infinite profound wall to test his attack power. Boom! Yi Tian bombarded the immeasurable profound wall with all his strength, and a large ray of light spread out. Then, a number appeared. 5,200. This means that Yi Tian's attack power has reached the limitless scale of 5,200, and his attack power was only at the limitless scale of 3,000 before. Compared with the 3,000 infinite scale, the 5,200 infinite scale is not only a slight improvement but a general improvement in quality. The difference in combat power is too great. In addition, the immeasurable Tao territory is far beyond the past, so the combat power has improved too much compared to the past, and it is easy to crush the past self. After the immeasurable path has been raised to the limit state, there is no way to continue to improve. If you want to continue to improve the realm of Tao, you must comprehend the limitless Tao. The limitless path is that after the limitless path reaches its limit, it will become the limitless path after another transformation. A trace of infinite ultimate Tao can crush the limitless Tao of the extreme realm, but it is too difficult to comprehend the infinite ultimate Tao. At least in the real mountain, there is no great ancestor who has comprehended the boundless extreme way, let alone those supreme ancestors of the 9-layered ancestors of the silent Black Sea. Bao Shui may have comprehended the infinite extreme Tao. Yi Tian secretly said. He didn't think too much, just relying on this immeasurable true tree would not be able to help him break the shackles and comprehend the immeasurable extreme way. What's more important is that he has never even seen the infinite ultimate Tao, and only knows one name, so he cannot comprehend the infinite ultimate Tao in a short period of time. Raise the boundless will first. Yi Tian muttered. His current limitless will is 178 points, and it would be more difficult to raise the limitless will to reach this mark. However, Black Sacred Mountain still has a lot of resources. Perhaps in the eyes of high-level immeasurable beings, these resources are nothing at all, and are only equivalent to ordinary resources. But for Yi Tian, the resources here are still very good, enough to improve his strength a lot. So in the following days, Yi Tian found all kinds of resources that would help to improve his boundless will or cultivation, and improve his boundless will and cultivation. At the same time, Yi Tian also used the ability to integrate all things to synthesize various kinds of precious resources, some of which were useful to him, and some of which were useless and traded. In this way, Yi Tian's boundless will is getting stronger and stronger, and his cultivation is getting higher and higher. Finally on this day, Yi Tian's cultivation reached the limit of the first-order infinite life form, and the boundless will also reach the level of 198 scales. It is very difficult to continue to improve. Next, we have to hit the realm of the middle-level infinite life form. With Yi Tian's potential foundation, if he wants to hit the limitless life body realm, he can easily break the shackles now. However, he wants a perfect promotion. The advantage of a perfect promotion is that the potential is greater, and the strength of the increase is greater, and the increase of the boundless will and the boundless body is also greater. If there is no way to achieve perfect promotion, it would be fine to make a breakthrough directly, but Yi Tian still has hope for perfect promotion, so naturally he has to pursue perfect promotion. And the first requirement for perfect promotion is to have an immeasurable body, whether it is a superior immeasurable body or an inferior immeasurable body, it is the first requirement for perfect promotion. The second requirement is that the infinite Tao reaches the limit state, and Yi Tian now also satisfies this requirement. The last requirement is to find an immeasurable source of energy, and use the immeasurable source of energy to achieve perfect promotion. Chapter 2303 The Sea of Boundless Suffering. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian doesn't know where the immeasurable source energy is at the moment, but he will go back to the real mountain to find it first. But, Yi Tian still kept the cloned body of the original body in the Black Sacred Mountain for cultivation, while the cloned body of the real race left the Black Sacred Mountain. Yi Tian walked out of the Black Sacred Mountain and immediately sensed a great ancestor, among which there were nearly 10 middle-level immeasurable beings. At this time, these great ancestors had already surrounded the Black Sacred Mountain. The great ancestor from outside, tell me the way to enter the Black Holy Mountain. A middle-level immeasurable life form threatens the road. Another great ancestor also said, if you don't hand over the way to enter the Black Holy Mountain, then you will die here. In the face of these dozens of great ancestors, the ordinary first-level immeasurable life forms absolutely do not have any resistance. But Yi Tian was a little disdainful. Although his cloned body is not as powerful as the original body, he has also cultivated the infinity body, but he didn't spend the price to raise this body's infinity body to the realm of small achievement. After all, this replica body does not need to be cultivated a lot, otherwise it will be a waste of resources. However, with the body of the promise and the limit realm immeasurable Tao just raised, his combat power is not bad at all, and he also has a combat power of 3 or 4,000 limitless scales. And these middle-level immeasurable beings are not very powerful, they only have more than 1,000 immeasurable scales of combat power, and the most powerful one is at most 2,000 immeasurable scales of combat power. Therefore, he is not afraid of these middle-level immeasurable beings at all. As for those elementary-level immeasurable beings, he even ignored them. Go away, Yi Tian said coldly. Hearing Yi Tian say this, these great ancestors were angry. Kill him, he definitely won a lot of treasures in the Black Holy Mountain, even if he doesn't know how to enter the Black Holy Mountain, he can get a lot of resources and treasures by killing him, said a great ancestor. Immediately, these great ancestors took action. From their point of view, killing Yi Tian, who is an immeasurable first-order life form, is definitely an easy task, and Yi Tian can be erased easily. However, they were stunned in no time. Boom! Yi Tian immediately showed the combat power far exceeding the first-order immeasurable life form, and the body of the infinite body also erupted, and the colorless mask alone blocked the attack of the great ancestor. A golden spear carrying thousands of infinity scales of attack power instantly penetrated the body of a first-order immeasurable being. Puff puff! An immeasurable first-level life form was instantly killed. This scene made the other big clans completely unbelievable. What a terrifying combat power it is to instantly kill the top-notch primary-level immeasurable life forms. Kill. The 10 middle-level immeasurable beings didn't want to take action at first. After all, it was enough for other elementary-level immeasurable beings to take action, but now they had to do it. In an instant, Yi Tian collided with a dozen or so middle-level immeasurable beings. Click. The surrounding time and space shattered, and the power of annihilation swept across the endless area. I saw Yi Tian holding the endless golden spear, knocking a middle-level immeasurable life form into the air, and the weaker middle-rank immeasurable life body was directly damaged. This is still a fight between multiple intermediate-level immeasurable beings. If they fight alone, it will be even worse. Soon, these immeasurable intermediate-level lifeforms were severely damaged one by one, and they did not dare to stay, otherwise their lives would be at risk. Shish! These middle-level immeasurable beings escaped one by one. In a blink of an eye, Yi Tian did not have a great ancestor around, and they all fled. Yi Tian didn't go after him either. Killing those elementary-level immeasurable beings was relatively easy, but even if each intermediate-rank immeasurable being was average in strength, its life-saving ability was also very powerful, and it could not be killed with just a few tricks. Moreover, he really killed too many great ancestors. In case a certain great ancestor has an unusual origin and attracts the attention of a high-level immeasurable being, his identity as a duplicate body must be abandoned. Therefore, he left here directly. True mountain caller. Yi Tian returned here, and then began to search for news about the infinite origin Qi. It didn't take long for Yi Tian to inquire about the information about the infinite origin Qi, which was not top-secret information either. In a place not too far from the real mountain, there is a treasure called the Sea of Infinite Bitterness. The Sea of Immeasurable Suffering is very famous, but all the senior first-order immeasurable life forms have heard of the name of the Sea of Immeasurable Suffering, and there is immeasurable source energy in the Sea of Immeasurable Suffering, but its number is extremely rare. For flowers. And the Sea of Immeasurable Suffering is also very dangerous, and ordinary great ancestors really dare not enter the Sea of Immeasurable Suffering. It's very easy to get lost there, and once you get in some areas, you can't get out at all. And the higher the cultivation base, the higher the probability of getting lost. It is rumored that there are high-level immeasurable beings that enter the immeasurable sea of suffering and disappear completely, which really frightened countless great ancestors. However, in the boundless sea of suffering, there is boundless source energy, which is a must for perfect promotion. Therefore, there are still some top-notch primary-level immeasurable lifeforms with enormous potential who venture into the boundless sea of suffering to find boundless source energy. For a long time, there have been ancestors who have found the source of Qi, and they have all been promoted one by one, and the greater ancestor is Wang Wuliang's Bitter Sea, or it may have been lost there, and it will be a day in France. 0. Certainly. There are also great ancestors who have found the infinite origin Qi and sold it, but the price is extremely expensive, and even if the average great ancestor has exhausted everything, he cannot afford it. Only the descendants of some high-level immeasurable beings or the descendants of top middle-rank immeasurable beings can afford the energy of immeasurable origin with the help of their elders. However, it will be a long time before there will be such a trace of boundless source energy for sale. Yi Tian can't afford to wait, he naturally has to go to the boundless sea of suffering to find the boundless source of energy. Anyway, he copied a lot of bodies, and he was not afraid of falling and getting lost. The big deal was that he could always find the boundless original energy after trying again and again. Infinite Sea of Suffering. There are many ancient cities around, where there are strong people of many races, and there are also Taoist ancestors of the 8th and 9th orders. Among them, the Taoist ancestors of the 8th and 9th orders are almost all cannon fodder. These 8th order and 9th order Taoist ancestors will not necessarily die if they enter the boundless sea of suffering. After all, in addition to the infinite origin chi, the sea of infinite bitterness also has some other treasure resources. Certainly, there are still few Tao ancestors who dare to enter the boundless sea of suffering, and most of them are desperate. This day, Yi Tian stepped into this corpse. Chapter 2304 An Unexpected Lost Place. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Infinite Sea of Suffering. Yi Tian stepped into this place, and immediately found that the time and space here is very chaotic, as if there are no rules, and the location is constantly changing. If the time is short, it can be calculated as the entrance position, so as to escape into time and space. But once he goes too deep into the sea of immeasurable suffering, or enters some special place, no matter how powerful he is, it will be difficult to deduce his position, and he will be completely lost. However, Yi Tian didn't care about getting lost, so he moved quickly. Along the way, even if he discovered some resources, he didn't bother to collect them, and most of the resources were of no value to him. His goal is only one, and that is to find the infinite origin chi. Not long after, Yi Tian suddenly broke into a special area while traveling in the past. In this area, the time distance does not seem to exist, no matter how, 2020, he moves, it seems that he cannot leave this area. Trouble, completely lost, Yi Tian secretly said. He knew very well that it wasn't that this special area was huge, but that he didn't move much. He seems to have moved, but the special environment here has even affected his cognition and thinking. He seems to have moved, but in fact he may still be in circles somewhere. If he wants to get out of here successfully, it is impossible to travel through time and space or fly indiscriminately. He must break the rules here and break the influence of this world on himself before he can escape from here. Even high-level immeasurable beings have been lost in the boundless sea of suffering. The probability of my copy body going out is too low, let's just give up this copy body. So, Yi Tian directly annihilated this duplicate body. Afterwards, Yi Tian once again duplicated a duplicate body and came to the sea of immeasurable suffering again. He has to rely on duplicating his body to find the boundless source of energy in the boundless sea of suffering again and again. Even if he is unlucky, he will find the boundless source of energy one day in the future. In this way, time passed slowly. Yi Tian entered the sea of immeasurable suffering again and again, and lost a copy of his body. No wonder those great ancestors didn't dare to come here even if they knew that the boundless sea of bitterness had boundless source energy, they only dared to let a group of cannon fodder try their luck here. If they dared to enter here, without the luck against the sky, they really might not be able to succeed. Go out. Yi Tian muttered. Of course, this also has something to do with his inattentiveness in the boundless sea of suffering. His speed is too fast. If other great ancestors come in, he will definitely move forward slowly, and he will not be so reckless to test the situation ahead again and again. But he didn't want to waste time, that's why he took this behavior. Found it. Yi Tian was walking in a territory of the boundless sea of suffering, and suddenly sensed that there was a ray of red light floating in a fog in front of him. And he had seen the projection of the infinite origin chi, so he recognized at a glance that it was a wisp of infinite origin chi. According to the success rate, one strand of immeasurable source energy can increase the chance of perfect promotion by 20%, and 5 strands of immeasurable source energy can guarantee 100% perfect promotion. This fog is dangerous, let's just drive this fog away. Yi Tian shot directly, and the terrifying power vented out, directly shattering the void in front of him. In an instant, that cloud of mist was dispelled by Yi Tian's attack, revealing that immeasurable source of energy. Immediately, Yi Tian stretched out his hand to grab it, grabbed the boundless origin chi in his hand, and immediately put it away. Go out first, or else this replica body will get lost, and the immeasurable source of energy that you have obtained will also be lost. Immediately, Yi Tian deduced the way back. This is not difficult for him, after all, he is not lost yet. After a period of time, Yi Tian successfully emerged from the sea of immeasurable suffering, and then gave a ray of immeasurable source energy to his other cloned body. In the following days, under Yi Tian's many searches, strands of immeasurable source energy were found by Yi Tian, and successfully sent out the immeasurable sea of suffering. 4 strands of immeasurable source energy have been found, and we only need to find another strand of immeasurable source energy, and then we can attack the realm of middle-level immeasurable beings. Yi Tian thought so. This day, Yi Tian was walking in the sea of immeasurable suffering, and suddenly saw a giant red mountain. Hey, the red giant mountain, the terrain of the boundless bitter sea is almost all sea areas. I have never seen a mountain before, but there is such a huge mountain here. Yi Tian became curious. And this giant mountain is not an ordinary giant mountain, even if it is far away, it can sense the pressure of this giant mountain. Out of curiosity, Yi Tian shuttled over. As soon as he entered the range of the giant red mountain, the world changed drastically in an instant. At this moment, the place he was in was no longer a giant red mountain, but a red mountain range. No, I'm lost again. Yi Tian secretly said. Although the loss this time is somewhat different from the loss in the past, he is very clear that he can't get out of here. Just when he was about to annihilate and replicate his body here, he suddenly sensed a strong aura. It's the other lost ancestors. Yi Tian guessed. At this time, he was a little curious, and did not immediately annihilate this body. In the past, he had lost an unknown number of times, but he had never seen other great ancestors. Obviously, after getting lost, the probability of encountering other great clans was too low. But this time seems to be different, people who are lost here seem to be able to perceive each other. Ha ha ha, another unlucky ghost has come. I haven't been here for a long time, I feel a little bored. Go, talk to this newcomer, I don't know what's going on in the outside world. Whoa whoa whoa, in front of Yi Tian, there was a great ancestor, and each one of them was not low in cultivation. They were all in the realm of middle-order immeasurable beings, and they were extremely terrifying among the middle-rank immeasurable beings. Compared with his 5.9s, Yi Tian's cultivation was the lowest. I have seen you great ancestors. Yi Tian greeted politely. Soon, Yi Tian chatted with this group of great ancestors and knew that they had been here for endless years. When they came here, they were first-order immeasurable beings, realm. Their cultivation-based strength can continue to improve, but there is no way to leave here. Of course, they didn't get promoted perfectly, they just got promoted normally. Moreover, due to the lack of resources, their cultivation speed is very slow, and some of the great ancestors have existed for too long, but they have only progressed by more than half in the realm of the middle-level immeasurable beings. But soon, Yi Tian learned an astonishing news, there is a high-level immeasurable life form here. Chapter 2305 Comprehend the Infinite Extreme Way. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Is a high-level immeasurable life form lost here? Yi Tian was a little surprised by this. Moreover, this high-order immeasurable life form did not break through here, but was already a high-order immeasurable life form before entering, but there was still no way to escape from here. Therefore, the great ancestor here gave up long ago, but chose to wait for the opportunity here slowly. Maybe one day something goes wrong in the sea of boundless suffering, or if there is a more terrifying existence that breaks the sea of boundless suffering, then they will be free. But there are still ancestors who feel too bored and can't see hope, so they choose to fall asleep by themselves, and have been sleeping until the endless long years. There seems to be something special here. From the outside, it looks like a giant red mountain, which is a little different from other lost places. Yi Tian asked curiously, other lost places? The great ancestors present didn't understand a bit. After all, they had never been to other lost lands. If they had been, they would definitely not be able to get out, so there was no way to compare them. But soon, Yi Tian learned something that surprised him from the mouths of these great ancestors. It turns out that somewhere in this lost land, there is a treasure land 29 that can help the great ancestors comprehend the limitless path. Of course, there are very few great ancestors who can truly comprehend, and some great ancestors have no hope of comprehending even if they have comprehended infinite years. Moreover, that treasure land is also in danger. Once you enter there, if you don't get out for a long time, you will never be able to get out. You can only get out again if you realize the limitless way one day. There was a great ancestor who didn't come out in time, stayed in that treasure land for countless years, and later realized the limitless way. According to his description, if he couldn't get out of the treasure land in time, he would be confined to a small area, and that area would continue to shrink. In the end, the great ancestor who fell into it will be frozen, and if he has not realized the infinite ultimate Tao at this time, the infinite will and thinking will also be frozen. As for what the final outcome will be, no one knows. It is very likely that it will be a complete fall. And when the great ancestor was about to be frozen in immeasurable will, he realized the immeasurable extreme way under the crisis of death, and then he managed to escape. And after comprehending the limitless extreme way, if you want to enter that treasure land again, you can't do it, and you are not allowed to enter. Fortunately, this replica body was not annihilated, otherwise you would have missed this treasure. Yi Tian was extremely excited in his heart. If he can comprehend the infinite ultimate Tao here, his strength will be terribly improved. Infinite ultimate Tao is the realm of Tao that countless great ancestors have dreamed of. Few of the middle-level immeasurable beings in the outside world have realized the immeasurable extreme path. Only those high-level immeasurable beings have the hope of comprehending the immeasurable extreme path. But here, there are not just one or two, but many intermediate-level immeasurable beings who have realized the infinite ultimate Tao. In the days that followed, Yi Tian and the middle-level immeasurable beings here consulted the boundless extreme way, and even personally felt the power of boundless way. At the very least, this will give you some understanding of the infinite ultimate Tao. After gaining some understanding of the infinite extreme Tao, Yi Tian is ready to go to that mysterious treasure place. This day, Yi Tian went to the treasure land that these great ancestors said. Just when Yi Tian passed by, these great ancestors were whispering. The great ancestor who just came in is still very active. He still wants to improve his strength and understand the boundless extreme way, but it's useless. Even if he realizes it, what can he do? It's not impossible to go out. Ha ha ha, it's normal for people to just get lost and still have hope. When he is trapped here for endless years, he will slowly lose the idea of progress. 1. Forget it, I went to sleep. I hope next time I wake up, there will be a way to get out. It's here. Yi Tian stared at a black abyss ahead and muttered. This abyss is the treasure land that the great ancestors said, but from the outside, nothing can be seen, and even the infinite will cannot penetrate into it. Yi Tian entered this black abyss without any hesitation. As soon as he entered the black abyss, Yi Tian felt it a little, and found that the sense of loss in the black abyss was increasing at a very slow speed. Whether he can continue to stay here can be sensed. What a strange place, Yi Tian muttered. Subsequently, Yi Tian began to comprehend the infinite extreme Tao. When he was trying to comprehend, his own immeasurable Tao filled the surrounding void, and then under the suppression of an inexplicable force, the immeasurable Tao of the extreme realm began to compress and evolve. Direction. Yi Tian was pleasantly surprised. This abyss can actually make his own infinite path evolve step by step, which is equivalent to pointing out the direction of comprehending the limitless path. Of course, this abyss is only a preliminary guide, it belongs to the beginning, and you still need to comprehend it later, and the difficulty is still very terrifying. In addition, comprehending the infinite Tao in this abyss is also many times faster than the outside world. If a great ancestor who has not raised the infinite Tao to the ultimate realm enters here, it will definitely take a long time before he can raise the infinite Tao to the ultimate realm. It's a pity that the ancestors had to get lost before they could enter here. If the great ancestors of the outside world knew that there was such a place, they would not come here. 220 years have passed, Yi Tian has been comprehending the infinite path here. From the beginning of confusion, I gradually gained a little insight, and then I sensed the prototype of the infinite pole, and completely understood the direction. The infinite pole Tao takes shape. Infinite poles form two parts. The prototype of the infinite pole is 30%. Time flies, and tens of thousands of years have passed in a blink of an eye. At this time, Yi Tian's infinite extreme Tao prototype had already realized the realm of more than 90%. According to the words of those great ancestors, if the first year of the 100 million world has not yet comprehended the boundless extremes, then you must go out, otherwise the body will be trapped, the mind will be frozen quickly, and incredible changes will occur. 1. Yi Tian muttered. And now he has only comprehended the first year of the tens of thousands of worlds, and he is about to comprehend the limitless extremes, and the speed of comprehension can be many times faster than these great ancestors. This day, Yi Tian's infinite extreme Tao prototype is finally about to usher in a real transformation. Boom! The incomparably terrifying aura of limitless extremes permeated from Yi Tian's body, and at this moment he had completely comprehended the boundless extremes. At the same time, the abyss began to crowd him out. I can't stay here any longer. Yi Tian's body moved, and he left the abyss directly and returned to the outside of the abyss. Chapter 2306 The Root of the Lost Land. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. When Yi Tian came out of the abyss, it caused the doubts of these great ancestors. After all, Yi Tian only went in not long ago, why did he come out? It is estimated that I feel that I can't comprehend the limitless extreme way, and I can't go out when I think of it, so I just came out and gave up my cultivation. An ancestor thought so. They didn't make any more guesses, it didn't make any sense after all. Apart from the abyss, there is no other good place here, and the resources here are also very poor. There may have been some resources, but they have long been consumed by these ancestors. Therefore, for Yi Tian, there is no value here. But just when he was about to annihilate this cloned body, the high-level immeasurable life form left the customs. Meet the Great Xander. 1. Meet the Great Xander. 1. Meet the Great Xander. A great ancestor respectfully said. For them, the Xander Great Ancestor is not only the only high-level immeasurable being here, but also their hope of going out. After all, they don't have any hope of going out, but the Great Ancestor of Xander may find a way to go out one day, so it is possible to take them out together. Therefore, they have great respect for the Great Ancestor of the Xander. I have seen the Great Ancestor of Xander. Yi Tian also respectfully said. A newcomer has come in again. The Great Ancestor of Xander only watched Yi Tian for a second, then he didn't care too much. After all, Yi Tian is only a first-level immeasurable life form. Even if he has cultivated a superior immeasurable body, he will not be able to help at all. Under the expectant gaze of these great ancestors, Great Ancestor Xander said, Father Great Ancestors, after these years of hard work, I have created a magic circle again, and I need your cooperation to try to break through this world. We must cooperate fully with the Great Ancestor of Xander. Many great ancestors responded. I saw that the Great Ancestor of the Xander took out the balls of light and gave them to the great ancestors present, so that they could comprehend this magic circle. After a period of time, these great ancestors fully understood this magic circle. Immediately, they began to arrange the magic circle, and the core of the magic circle was naturally the Great Ancestor of Xander. Yi Tian was among them, and he was a little curious about whether the Xander ancestors could break this world and break the rules of being lost. Soon, the array arrangement was completed. Run the magic circle with all your strength. Xander Great Ancestor ordered. Boom! The entire array was in motion, and the terrifying power made the red mountain range start to vibrate, and the time and space seemed to disintegrate. The Great Ancestor of Xander received the power of the Great Array, holding a long spear, and stabbed at a certain node. Hiss! This node was pierced, and the fog emerged in an instant. A pair of eyes appeared in the fog, and these eyes seemed to be filled with anger. Hold head high. As if it was a roar from an unknown creature, the body of the Xander Great Ancestor was directly shattered, and the other great ancestors were also implicated and were severely injured. Of course, the Great Ancestor of Xander was not dead and healed quickly, but the operation failed. And the entire array was completely turned into ashes. This time the plan failed. I'll go back to heal my wounds, and I'll talk about it next time. Having said that, the Great Ancestor of the Xander left. At this time, the great ancestors who were severely injured looked at each other in dismay. I saw a pair of eyes in the mist. What are those? The coercion of those eyes is terrifying, beyond our thoughts. Fortunately, it is aimed at the great ancestor of the Xander, otherwise, if it is aimed at us, we will all be killed in seconds. 1. I don't know what creature it is, or some forbidden power. It shouldn't be a creature. How can there be any creature here that can threaten the infinite high-level life forms? What these great ancestors did not notice was that Yi Tian's expression showed a strange color at this moment. Because when the magic circle is activated, his mind is also connected to the magic circle, so he can naturally sense the eyes in the mist. He couldn't spy on those eyes, but the copy talent could. Lost Behemoth. This is the information that the copy talent peeked through those eyes. This creature is called the Lost Behemoth, and has an infinite ancestral gift, Lost. At this moment, he has already copied this immeasurable ancestral gift. The lost beast, is it not related to the loss of the boundless sea of suffering? In other words, the reason why the great ancestors were lost in the boundless sea of suffering was because of this lost beast. Or, it was because the lost environment of the boundless sea of suffering gave birth to the lost beast. Yi Tian didn't know what kind of situation it was, but the lost giant beast was really terrifying. His copy talent is unable to perceive the true strength of the lost behemoth, only that the lost behemoth's strength surpasses that of the Xander Great Ancestor. If I copy and merge the countless lost ancestors, won't I be lost? Yi Tian muttered. So, he began to integrate ancestral fu. It didn't take long for him to officially possess this immeasurable ancestral gift. Immediately afterwards, he let a body-copy body enter the boundless sea of suffering. This cloned body has lost in boundless ancestry, and after activating this boundless ancestry, he immediately discovered a different situation. It's really hard to be lost. Yi Tian muttered. Although he has not yet encountered the lost land, but after entering the boundless sea of suffering, it is as if he has entered other normal places, and he can directly identify the direction without deduction, which is something that could not be done in the past. Immediately, he encountered a lost place before he came, fled directly into it, and walked out immediately. Sure enough, such a lost place can no longer trap me. Immediately, he entered this lost place again, wanting to explore the truth and see what the essence of the lost place is. The finished lost land is very large. Although he is no longer affected by lost, his speed, perception, and action are still severely affected. This is an indelible effect. Yi Tian traveled constantly in this lost land, and finally met a great ancestor. This is a first-order boundless great ancestor, who is constantly turning in circles at this moment. When Yi Tian approached the opponent, the great ancestor attacked him directly, as if he had been hit by an illusion. But Yi Tian is very clear that this is not an illusion, but that the other party is lost, and the world the other party is in is completely different from the world he is in. This leads to, no matter what, he should not try to help the other party get rid of the lost, unless he can get rid of the root cause of this lost place and make this lost place return to normal. Then, Yi Tian left here directly and moved on. It didn't take long for him to finally find the source of electricity in this lost place. Chapter 2307 Breakthrough, Intermediate Level Immeasurable Life Form. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. It's a lost beast. Yi Tian came to the core area of this lost land, where he saw a lost behemoth that was sleeping. This lost beast was lying in a black river, its huge body almost occupied half of the river, and its eyes were tightly closed. And it is filled with a special power, and it is this power that caused the birth of this lost place. Yi Tian didn't dare to bother this lost beast because it was too terrifying. Even if it is a high-level immeasurable life form, it is far more than ordinary high-order immeasurable life forms, and may even kill weaker high-order immeasurable life forms in an instant. 1. Yi Tian thought to himself. If he wakes up this lost beast, he will definitely be killed in an instant, and there is no way to contend. What is that? Yi Tian noticed that some gray crystals were born around this lost beast, which seemed very unusual. Should be a good thing. Yi Tian guessed. He's going to try and see if he can remove these gray crystals. Immediately, he restrained his breath and approached the lost beast, but just as he was about to touch the gray crystal, the lost beast woke up. In an instant, a claw grabbed it. It seemed like a very simple move, but it blocked Yi Tian's actions, and even if he exploded all his strength, he couldn't break free. Boom! With one blow, Yi Tian's body was annihilated, and this lost place also trembled slightly, but soon returned to level 220 silence. The lost beast is so terrifying, one move is enough to kill me in seconds. Yi Tian muttered. Losing a duplicate body was nothing, but it taught him the secrets of the lost land and the boundless sea of suffering. It turns out that these lost places are caused by the power of those lost giant beasts, and the strength of these lost giant beasts is at least the realm of high-level immeasurable life forms. If you infer so, there are many lost beasts in the boundless suffering. What a terrifying race that so many lost beasts are. Yi Tian felt that if these lost giant beasts came out of the boundless sea of suffering, which force could stop them? However, these lost beasts seem to like sleeping very much. As long as they don't disturb them, there is no danger. Are you going to give up? Yi Tian hesitated a little. After all, that gray crystal should be a good thing. If he managed to not attract the attention of the lost beast, he should be able to take away those gray crystals. And it's too hard to do that, but it's not hopeless. Afterwards, Yi Tian entered several lost places and tried to approach the lost beast. Although they all failed, they also summed up the experience. First of all, the lost behemoth should identify the danger based on the field of lost power that it condenses. This field is not a field that covers the entire lost land, but a small area near itself. Entering this field will attract the attention of the lost behemoth. And if you want not to attract the attention of the lost beast, you must integrate into the lost power in the domain and turn it into a part of it, thereby reducing the attention of the lost beast. In this way, these lost beasts will not wake up from their slumber. In order to successfully approach the lost giant beast, Yi Tian constantly comprehends the power of this lost realm outside the lost giant beast realm. Time flies, and in a blink of an eye, tens of thousands of years have passed. At this time, Yi Tian had almost understood the mystery of the lost domain. Almost. Immediately, Yi Tian turned into a ray of lost power and entered the domain of this lost beast, but the lost beast did not wake up. Then, Yi Tian came near the grey crystal. I saw Yi Tian grabbed lightly, and a grey crystal fell into Yi Tian's hand. He is very clear that if he touches the lost behemoth will still wake up, and he is very careful, not even taking the grey crystals on the lost behemoth, only the nearby grey crystals. Soon, all the grey crystals that could be taken away were taken away by Yi Tian. Gone, Yi Tian left slowly, and soon left this lost place. After going out, Yi Tian began to study the usefulness of these grey crystals. This should be the companion of the lost beast, and its interior contains terrifying energy, which should have a great effect. After trying to research again and again, Yi Tian finally knew the usefulness of this grey crystal. It can actually temper infinite will. Yi Tian was extremely surprised. To CJFJ know that at his level, it is very difficult to improve the boundless will, and using the grey crystal to temper the boundless will, the effect is too terrifying. It didn't take long for Yi Tian to use the grey crystal to successfully raise the limitless will to the level of 200. With these grey crystals, my boundless will increase wildly. When I step into the middle level boundless life form, it will be easier to enhance the boundless will. Yi Tian thought to himself. So, he first started collecting the grey crystals. Although the boundless sea of bitterness is very large, the number of lost giant beasts is only a few hundred, and some of the lost giant beasts are hidden too deeply, and he can't find them either. For example, he did not find the lost beast in the Red Giant Mountain. He felt that the strength of the lost giant beast in the Red Giant Mountain should be stronger, so he could not find the other party with his strength. In the end, Yi Tian collected hundreds of thousands of grey crystals, enough for him to use for a long time. Not only that, he has a lot of immeasurable spirit here. It's time to hit the realm of the middle-level infinite life form. Yi Tian muttered. Cut off the sky. Yi Tian is going to attack the middle-level immeasurable life form here, and has prepared the resources for breakthrough. And these supreme ancestors of the 9-layered building knew that Yi Tian was going to break through the realm of the middle-level infinite beings, and they came here to protect them one by one. Although none of the Zeons dared to cause trouble, they had to prevent this from happening. Soon, Yi Tian started to break through. For him, breaking this bottleneck is simply too easy. A wisp of immeasurable source energy was absorbed by Yi Tian's body, helping him to be promoted perfectly. After he absorbed 5 strands of boundless source energy, his body was still absorbing it. Seeing this scene, Yi Tian was a little taken aback, but soon understood. By absorbing 5 strands of immeasurable source energy, you can be promoted 100% perfectly, but that doesn't mean you can't continue to absorb more immeasurable source energy. Yi Tian doesn't know the benefits of absorbing more infinite origin qi, but now that he has enough infinite origin qi in his hand, he is not stingy and directly absorbs more infinite origin qi. 6 strands, 7 strands, 8 strands. In the end, Yi Tian absorbed 13 strands of immeasurable source energy, so he couldn't continue to absorb it, which had reached the limit of his body. Boom! The bottleneck was torn apart, Yi Tian's life level was officially broken, and he stepped into the realm of the middle-level infinite life form. At the same time, his body began to transform, and he madly absorbed the energy of the outside world to complete the transformation. Every moment, Yi Tian's strength is improving. One kind of precious resource after another was taken out by Yi Tian and devoured, and it was not until a long time later that he completely stabilized the realm of the immeasurable middle-level life form. Chapter 2308 The Great Ancestor Meeting. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. After breaking through to become an infinite life form, Yi Tian began to use those grey crystals to continue to refine his infinite will. Since he broke free from the shackles of his realm, it was easier for him to raise his boundless will. He had just broken through, but his boundless will had risen to more than 230 scales. Now using the grey crystal to temper the boundless will has been raised to 250 scale in a short period of time, and it is still increasing rapidly. 280 scale, 300 ticks. After reaching the 300 mark, Yi Tian's immeasurable will slowed down. In the end, Yi Tian raised the infinite will to 350 scale, and no longer used the grey crystal to temper the infinite will, so it would not be worthwhile to use this grey crystal to enhance the infinite will. Test your attack power. Yi Tian took out an immeasurable profound wall and attacked with all his strength. Boom! The boundless profound wall was directly penetrated by Yi Tian's endless golden spear, and the entire boundless profound wall was cracked, but it was not destroyed in the end, but was slowly recovering. And at this time, the infinite profound wall still revealed a number. 23,809. Seeing this number, Yi Tian was very happy. You must know that the weaker intermediate level immeasurable life form has an attack power of 600 or 700 immeasurable scales, and he actually reached more than 20,000 immeasurable scales. It can be said that with his current strength, he is enough to instantly kill a group of ordinary middle-level immeasurable beings. My current strength is invincible even among the immeasurable intermediate-level beings. Yi Tian muttered. After all, his current immeasurable scale has reached 350, he has also comprehended the immeasurable extremity, and has cultivated the superior immeasurable body and the infinite body, and has also cultivated the boundless body to the realm of small achievement. And, he is still a perfect promotion. With such a superposition, how can other intermediate-level immeasurable beings compare with him? Then, Yi Tian went out. Congratulations to the Endless Tao Ancestor for breaking through to an intermediate-level immeasurable life form. Congratulations to the Endless Tao Ancestor for breaking through to an intermediate-level immeasurable life form. Congratulations to the Endless Tao Ancestor for breaking through to an intermediate-level immeasurable life form. One by one, the original ancestors of the Xeon 9th layer congratulated. Not long after, Yi Tian held a feast to congratulate himself on this breakthrough to become an immeasurable intermediate life form. In the past, he was only invincible in the Silent Black Sea, but now he is the highest. Although Silent Black Sea also has one or two intermediate-level immeasurable life forms, but from the perspective of cultivation, it is not as good as Yi Tian, and the combat power is not worth mentioning. After Yi Tian's cultivation broke through, he also copied all of his cloned bodies into intermediate-level immeasurable beings. Even the cloned body of the great ancestor Xuanming took time to break through to the middle-level infinite life form, and it was a perfect breakthrough, but the foundation was not as good as the original body. True Mountain Caller. When the great ancestor Xuanming broke through to the middle-level immeasurable life form, many great ancestors in the entire True Mountain territory were stunned. The great ancestor Xuanming has broken through to the limitless life form of the intermediate level. How is this possible? How long has he been the great ancestor? Yeah, it wasn't long before the great ancestor Xuanming broke through to the first-order limitless life form. Even if he was continuously provided with resources, he couldn't break through to the intermediate-order limitless life form so quickly. It's incredible. Who is the great ancestor of Xuanming? I've only been in retreat for a long time, and in the first year of hundreds of thousands of realms, how come there is an extra middle-level immeasurable being? The great ancestor Xuanming must have a great chance, otherwise he wouldn't have broken through to the realm of intermediate-level infinite beings so quickly. Knowing that Xuanming great ancestor has a chance, now they are middle-level immeasurable beings, and their strength is much stronger than ours. True Mountain Leader, Juwu Ancient City. Ancestor Zhang Jun was shocked when he learned that Yi Tian had broken through and became an immeasurable intermediate-level being. Before Yi Tian also traded with him to practice the infinite body, which is a high-quality immeasurable body, but now he has broken through to become a middle-level immeasurable being. Has the great ancestor Xuanming successfully cultivated the infinity body, or did he give up cultivating the infinity body and instead break through to the realm of the middle-level infinite life body? Ancestor Zhang Jun thought very suspiciously. But no matter what the situation is, Yi Tian is too evil. This day, Yi Tian received an invitation from the great ancestor of Jinli, the leader of the Real Mountain, and went to the giant city of Junwu in the Real Mountain to discuss. Yi Tian naturally did not refuse the invitation of the great ancestor Jinli, and went directly to the meeting. Junwu Giant City. Ask for flowers. When Yi Tian arrived at the destination, he sensed the breath of a middle-level immeasurable being. So many intermediate-level immeasurable beings. Yi Tian was secretly surprised. Obviously, this meeting is not easy, definitely not just for him. Soon, almost all the people at the meeting arrived. This time, there are 13 intermediate-level immeasurable beings participating in the meeting, and there is not a single elementary-level immeasurable being. The entire True Mountain Leader used to be 18 middle-level immeasurable beings, and now with Yi Tian, there are 19 middle-rank immeasurable beings, except for those who have been in retreat for a long time and have not been able to go out. It is not bad to be able to come to 13. The one who presided over the meeting was the great ancestor Jinli. This was a top-notch intermediate-level immeasurable being, and he was also a superior immeasurable body for cultivation. His strength was very good. 0. My great ancestors, I'm very glad that you came to this meeting. Maybe some great ancestors know what this meeting is, but the newly promoted middle-level immeasurable beings, Xuanming Great Ancestor, should not be very clear, so I will briefly introduce the situation. Bar. Ancestor Jinli said. Yi Tian didn't open his mouth, but listened with perverted ears. At this moment, Grand Ancestor Jinli waved his hand, and a map appeared. This is the location of our real mountain territory, and this is the location of some surrounding territories. There are probably hundreds of territories in this piece of territory, and these hundreds of territories are called the Hopeless Land. The Hopeless Land is isolated. It is impossible to go to other territories of Xuanqi territory, and only some special methods can be used to leave. When Grand Ancestor Jin Li said this, Yi Tian was shocked. He thought that all the territories of Xuanqi territory could communicate with each other, but he did not expect that this place was isolated. Ancestor Jin Li continued. Everyone should be very clear that it is very difficult for us to become a high-order immeasurable life form in a hopeless place. The known high-order immeasurable life forms are all smuggled over from other frontiers of Xuanqi territory. Part of it is to hide in our hopeless land to avoid the enemy or for some special reasons. Our native ancestors of the hopeless land have no way to continue to break through and can only leave the hopeless land. And the time to leave the next time is coming, but there has been a little change this time, and the number of places may be reduced. What? The quota cut? When the other great ancestors heard it, their expressions suddenly changed to corpses. Chapter 2309 Silver Lin Kun, Xuanqi Pavilion. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. The quota reduction is not good news for these great ancestors. There is no great ancestor who does not want to leave the hopeless land. After all, only after leaving can one hope to become a high-level infinite life form. Those elementary-level immeasurable beings are too far away from high-level immeasurable beings, so they have no intention of leaving the hopeless land. However, they are already middle-level immeasurable beings, and naturally they are eager to break through. Although he has become a middle-level immeasurable life form, he is also a top-level combat power in a hopeless land. Even if he doesn't practice, he can live a good life. But once a crisis occurs, they are dead. Therefore, if they can break through, they naturally want to break through. Quota. Yi Tian looked confused and didn't know much about leaving the hopeless place. But soon, Yi Tian, 2020, gradually understood the situation following the story of the great ancestor Jinli. The reason why the hopeless land was separated from the rest of the Xuanqi territory was not caused by human beings but by natural environmental factors. Outside the hopeless land is the void galaxy, and the void galaxy can only hope to pass through the high-order infinite life forms, but even so, a lot of preparations must be made, otherwise the high-order infinite life forms may fall in the void galaxy. Middle. The void galaxy prohibits time and space travel, and also prohibits flying. Once you enter the void galaxy, you will be forcibly pulled into the depths of the void galaxy. In the Wukong galaxy, there are many cruel creatures. The strength of these creatures is not strong, but due to the large number and the natural adaptation to the environment of the Wukong galaxy, they can exert their full strength. Therefore, even if a middle-level immeasurable life form dares to cross the empty galaxy alone, it is almost certain to die. Of course, the biggest threat is not these creatures, but the overlords of the void galaxy. The strength of these overlords is very strong. Even if they are high-level immeasurable beings, they will easily be severely injured or even killed by these overlords. If you encounter the overlord in the empty galaxy, it will definitely be a disaster. It is precisely because of this that these immeasurable intermediate-level beings dare not leave the hopeless land to cross the empty galaxy. And outside the hopeless land, there is a force that has subdued a creature from the void galaxy, Silver Lin Kun. The strength of this kind of Yin Lin Kun is only comparable to the top middle-level immeasurable life forms, but it can deter most of the creatures in the Wukong galaxy. In addition, there are countless high-level life forms sitting in the town, so they dare to cross the empty galaxy. Of course, that force came to the hopeless land for the benefit of resources, and it was impossible to come here for no reason. The hopeless land is rich in a kind of resource that is very scarce outside the hopeless land, isosilver sand. This kind of resource is one of the materials that the force has purchased vigorously. If you have 10,000 caddies of different silver sand, you can get a chance to carry the Silver Lincoln. But that force will not take too many intermediate-level immeasurable life forms every time, because Yin Lin Kun cannot take away too many intermediate-level immeasurable life forms, otherwise Yin Lin Kun will not be able to cover it up, and will be sensed by those overlords. There was an accident once, which resulted in the killing of a Silver Lincoln, the fall of other middle-level immeasurable beings, and even the high-level immeasurable beings who were in charge were severely injured. Since then, that force has only given fixed quotas. For example, last time, the quota was for 100 middle-level immeasurable beings. The 100 middle-level immeasurable beings who collect the most different silver sands can get the quota, so these years, these middle-level immeasurable beings are working hard to collect the different silver sands. If there is a treasure land that breeds different silver sands, it will definitely be snatched and killed by these immeasurable intermediate life forms. Silver sand. Yi Tian didn't have any idiosyncratic silver sand in his hands, and he didn't know where there was any idiosyncratic silver sand, but he felt that it should be easy for him to leave the hopeless land. How many places are there in total this time? A middle-level immeasurable life form asked. Among the middle-level immeasurable beings present, only the great ancestor Jin Li was brought to the meeting on behalf of Junshin, so now only the great ancestor Jin Li knows the specific quota. 50 places. Ancestor Jin Li said, only 50 places. This competition is too fierce. Many great ancestors were secretly surprised. From 100 places to 50 places, the number of places has been reduced by half. Although hundreds of territories are competing for such a small spot, the great ancestor of their real mountain territory has no hope, and it can even be said that this time it will benefit. After all, when the day of departure is approaching, many promising intermediate-level immeasurable beings will do whatever it takes to acquire the different silver sand from other great ancestors. Therefore, the fewer places there are, the more intense the competition will be, which also means that the purchase price of Yiansha will be very high. It seems that the different silver sand can be sold for a higher price, but they do not want to see this scene. After all, what they want is to leave the hopeless land, not to make wealth. Moreover, the price of Yiansha has really been fired up, which is not good for them in the future, and they need to pay more to acquire Yiansha. Unless it is the great ancestor who never wants to leave, they will be happy to see this situation. At this time, great ancestor Jin Li said again, according to the news from that force, it is because Yin Lin Kun was injured, so in order to ensure safety, the number of places must be reduced. So, if Yin Lincoln's injury recovers, the quota will be restored in the future, is that so? An intermediate-level immeasurable being said. The great ancestor Jin Li shook his head and said, I don't know, in fact, it's not just this reason, but that faction seems to have found the different silver sand in other places, so the value of our hopeless land has been greatly reduced. I'm worried. Yes, if this accident leads to the death of Yin Lin Kun, I am afraid that there will be no places for a long time. Forget it, let's not fight for the place this time. It's too dangerous. If something happens, it will be dangerous. Some great ancestors said. However, Grand Ancestor Jin Li still wanted to go out to 5.9. After all, he could no longer improve here, so he wanted to leave the hopeless land. Later, these great ancestors began to discuss the matter of different silver sand transactions. Yi Tian didn't have different silver sand, so naturally he couldn't participate in such a topic. Grand Ancestor Jin Li, what is the power that controls Yinlinken? Yi Tian asked curiously. Ancestor Jin Li didn't hide it, and directly revealed, it is Xuanqi Pavilion, and it is also one of the oldest forces in Xuanqi territory. Although this era has fallen, it is still a hegemonic force in the entire Xuanqi territory. However, Xuanqi Pavilion is very strict in recruiting great patriarchs. Only the patriarchs of the Zan clan, the Winglong clan, and the Tianzu clan are accepted, and Xuanqi Pavilion does not accept the patriarchs of the true clan like us. Yi Tian nodded, indicating that he knew. Chapter 2310 There is no empty galaxy bottom. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. After discussing for a while, the meeting was over. Yi Tian did not have any silver sand on his body, so he did not participate in the transaction between the great ancestors. After going back, Yi Tian thought about this meeting. It turns out that this is a hopeless land, just a small area of Xuanqi territory. No wonder there is not much information obtained before, and I don't know much about the farther territories. It turns out that this place is surrounded by the Void Galaxy, and the outside forces are very strong. Sad to come. Yi Tian muttered, and he finally understood why there are not many high-order immeasurable life forms in Hopeless Land, and the number is very rare, and those high-order immeasurable life forms are also very low-key. The reason is because it is too difficult to become a high-order immeasurable being in a hopeless land, and it can even be said that it is impossible to become a high-order immeasurable being. Becoming a high-level immeasurable life form should require some kind of special resource, but there is no such thing here in Hopeless Land. At the beginning, the blood told me to break through the high-order immeasurable life form. The premise is that I release him, obviously to become a high-level life form. Infinite life forms are not that simple. 1. Yi Tian thought so. However, he thought that if he wanted to break through to the high-level immeasurable life form 29, he had to leave the hopeless place. But once you leave the hopeless land, it will not be easy to travel back and forth between Xuanqi territory and the quiet Black Sea. Of course, that doesn't matter. He only needs to bring a real body to copy the body, and there is no need to transport resources. After all, the strength of the real copy body has improved, and the other copy bodies have also improved. It's best to leave the hopeless land with those great ancestors, so that at least one has an identity. Even if they leave the hopeless land, there are traces to follow, and their identity will not be suspected. 1 inch. He doesn't want to give up his long-standing identity. Although they have entered the territory beyond the hopeless land, they can also copy other great ancestors, but each great ancestor's relationship network is very close, and it is easy to reveal his identity. The ability to copy the body is not insurmountable, and his identity as the great ancestor of Xuanming has gone to a hopeless place, and it is absolutely impossible to be seen through. Why should he give up this identity? After much deliberation, he decided to fight for a spot. Afterwards, he began to inquire about the information of Yinsha, and finally figured out what Yinsha was. Different silver sand is a kind of silver sand, but it contains a special energy, and each sand contains a terrifying gravity. The different silver sand crush the body. Therefore, once you see the different silver sand, it is easy to identify it. Under normal circumstances, different silver sand can only be found in the seabed or river bottom veins. If there are many different silver sands, it may even form a different silver sand mine. And there are not many rivers and oceans in the hopeless land, and no matter how special most of the rivers are, they may never produce isosilver sand, so the production of isosilver sand is naturally not much. The bottom of the river, then is there any silver sand at the bottom of the empty galaxy? Yi Tian thought to himself. So, he asked other great ancestors and got a positive answer. For example, the great ancestor of Jinli must have told Yi Tian, there are different silver sands at the bottom of the Wukong galaxy, and the output is very large and the quantity is countless. It's a pity that the Wukong galaxy is too dangerous, and the price to go to the bottom of the Wukong galaxy to mine the different silver sand is too high. Compared with the price paid for the exotic silver sand obtained by mining, no one is willing to go to the bottom of the Wukong galaxy to mine the different silver sand. There should be no way to fuse things like isosilver sand, and in a short period of time, I have no way to collect enough isosilver sand. As for the acquisition of isosilver sand, my wealth is indeed enough, but I can't find that much. I am willing to trade to my great ancestor. Therefore, it is easier to go to the bottom of the empty galaxy to collect the different silver sand. Immediately, Yi Tian was ready to go to the Void Galaxy. After traveling again and again, Yi Tian finally arrived at the Void Galaxy. The Void Galaxy is very special, giving Yi Tian an empty feeling. It looks like a river, but every drop of river water is like a star. Swish! Yi Tian entered the Void Galaxy, and was immediately pulled into the Void Galaxy. There was no way to fly above the Void Galaxy, let alone travel through time and space. Here, time and space seem to not exist at all. Once you enter the Void Galaxy, if there is no special way, you can only keep falling to the bottom of the river. I saw that Yi Tian's body kept falling into the bottom of the river, and at this time the surrounding creatures appeared, and they all rushed towards Yi Tian. The strength of these creatures is not strong, and they are only comparable to the 9th order Taoist ancestors. If they are outside, any ancestor can slaughter these creatures. However, the strength of a first-order immeasurable life-form ancestor here is not much stronger than that of a 9th-order Taoist ancestor. Therefore, if an ordinary great ancestor enters here, he will definitely be besieged and killed very quickly. Roll. Yi Tian fought with these creatures, killed them with a wave of his hand, and then tried his best to break free. The Wukong galaxy is really terrifying. Even I have to do my best to break free. After the average middle-level infinite life form enters, I'm afraid I can't even come out. Yi Tian secretly said. 220 The reason why he came out was that he had already sensed the creatures of the Void Galaxy. He only needed to copy a Void Galaxy creature, and then let the creature enter the Void Galaxy, which was easier and less likely to be attacked. Soon, a void-free galaxy creature was copied out, and Yi Tian threw it in. Empty galaxy. Yi Tian roamed here as a living creature, and soon came to the bottom of the river. The creatures at the bottom of the river are more powerful, but the creatures whose cultivation base is comparable to the great ancestor are still very rare. Most of them are creatures whose strength is comparable to the 9th order Taoist or even the 8th order Taoist, and the combat power is generally single, not as powerful as the outside world. But occupying the geographical advantage of the empty galaxy, they become very terrifying. Without the threat of the outside world, Yi Tian was looking for the different silver sand at the bottom of the empty galaxy. Since the different silver sand is easy to identify, Yi Tian felt that he should be able to find the different silver sand soon. Sure enough, Yi Tian found Yi and sand in a short time, and the number was quite large. Found it. Yi Tian sensed that there were grains of sand in an undersea mountain range not far away, and these sands were the different silver sands. At least there are tens of thousands of different silver sands. Yi Tian said excitedly. Chapter 2311 Bidding Places. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. These different silver sands were scattered on the bottom of this river and no one was mined. Yi Tian used to pick up these different silver sands one by one, and then left here. He is going to take these different silver sands out, and then come back to find more different silver sands. It didn't take long for Yi Tian to take these different silver sands out. Although tens of thousands of different silver sands are not a lot, it is at least a good start. Next, there will be more and more different silver sands on my body. It should be easy to compete for a place. Yi Tian muttered. Soon, time passed slowly. Yi Tian found many different silver sands at the bottom of Wukong Galaxy. Of course, Yi Tian's cloned body also fell into danger many times. After all, the creatures of Wukong Galaxy would also kill each other. However, Yi Tian can constantly copy the creatures of the void-free galaxy, so he doesn't worry about this problem at all. As time passed, Yi Tian collected more and more different silver sands. I have collected tens of millions of different silver sands, which should be enough to exchange for a place. Yi Tian thought to himself. Before he doesn't know the specific function of the different silver sand, he does not need to collect too much. If he understands it, it will be useful to himself, and it will not be too late to collect the different silver sand. Moreover, it was not far from the arrival of Xuanqi Pavilion, so he had to make some preparations. In the following days, Yi Tian wanted to trade various resources through various channels, and sent these resources to the Silent Black Sea. In a short period of time, he acquired incalculable resources. These resources alone are enough to cultivate a large number of Xeon 9th ancestors, enough to make the race become stronger and stronger. And the price he paid was very small, all of which were exchanged for various rare resources that were merged. This day, Yi Tian went to a certain place in Wukong Galaxy, and this is also the place where the Xuanqi Pavilion team arrived. At that time, the great ancestors paid enough different silver sand to get a place. Of course, even if they can't get a place, Xuanqi Pavilion will also make a bid to acquire Yiyansha. However, few great ancestors would sell Yiyan sand to Xuanqi Pavilion, because the price would not be too high. It would be better to sell it to other great ancestors. Near Wukong Galaxy, Wukong Giant City. At this time, a great ancestor gathered here, and the great ancestor who was hard to see in the past has now seen many here. Even if there are not many ancestors of different silver sand, they are here at this moment. One is to watch the fun, and the other is to sell a small amount of different silver sand on their body at a high price. And Yi Tian also came here. A lot of great ancestors. Yi Tian secretly said. Quiet Black Sea has dozens of Xeon 9th level ancestors that are the same as the great ancestor, and the number of great ancestors here is already over 10,000. And this is just a small place in Xuanqi territory. There are more great ancestors in other places. In Wukong Giant City, Yi Tian met Jinli Great Ancestor and several other great ancestors, but more great ancestors still did not come here. Great Ancestor Jinli and the others thought that Yi Tian was just here to see, and they never imagined that Yi Tian's goal was one of those 50 places. Coming, a great ancestor flew out of the Void Giant City and came to the outside of the city, looking through the distant void to the interior of the Void Galaxy. At this time, a silver unicorn was roaming in the void of the Milky Way, and the powerful aura made those creatures dare not approach. But many great ancestors noticed that this silver Lincoln was cracked all over, and the injuries were not minor. For this kind of situation, the ancestors present have long known, otherwise they will not reduce the number of places. Soon, Yin Lin Kun arrived here, and a dozen great ancestors descended from Yin Lin Kun. Among them, 2 high-level immeasurable beings and a dozen middle-rank immeasurable beings. And these 10 or so middle-rank immeasurable beings are not ordinary middle-rank immeasurable beings. Their strength is extremely powerful. They are definitely the top middle-rank immeasurable beings, and maybe they are only a line away from high-rank immeasurable beings. Xuanqi Pavilion actually sent 2 high-level immeasurable beings. Many great ancestors were secretly surprised. In the past, most of the time, only one high-level immeasurable life form was sent, but this time, two were sent. At this time, one of the high-level immeasurable life forms said, "I am the Xuanwu Great Ancestor of Xuanqi Pavilion. I originally agreed to take 50 great ancestors to leave this time. But when I came, Yin Lincoln was injured again, so for the sake of to ensure safety, this time there are only 40 great ancestors." What? Only 40 places? All the great ancestors were stunned. In particular, some great ancestors who thought they had a great grasp are now panicking, and suddenly there are 10 places less, and it is very likely that he will completely lose hope. The competition for places is carried out in a competitive way, starting from the first place to be auctioned, whoever has more different silver sand can get a place. The ancestors of Xuanqi Pavilion didn't want to waste any time in this hopeless land, and soon began to announce the auction. And the starting price was 100,000 different silver sands, which made many ancestors who didn't have many different silver sands simply chose to give up. 200,000 different silver sands. 300,000 different silver sands. 500,000 different silver sands. There are very few places, so these great ancestors are competing wildly. Certainly, the auction price for the first place is definitely not low, and some ancestors think that the auction price should be lower. After all, there are many ancestors of Yiyansha who will be the first to buy places. Not much. However, as the number of places is getting smaller and smaller, these people will also face more different silver sands with each other, and the auction will be more intense. So, everything is hard to say. Yi Tian has enough different silver sand, so he doesn't care about the so-called auction price. 1.3 million different silver sands. Completed. Yi Tian opened his mouth to bid. This auction price directly caused other great ancestors to give up the auction completely. After all, the last time I bid for Yiyansha's place, there was never such a high price. At this time, Grand Ancestor Jin Li stared at Yi Tian in surprise. He never expected Yi Tian to have so many different silver sands. Strange, it hasn't been a long time since the Great Ancestor Xuanming became the Great Ancestor. It stands to reason that he could not find so many different silver sands. Could it be that he obtained it from other great ancestors during this period of time? But how could he trade so many? Yiyansha, I have never heard of him trading Yiyansha from other great ancestors. 1. Ancestor Jinli was a little puzzled. Immediately, he was going to contact Yi Tian privately to see if Yi Tian could trade some different silver sand for him. He felt that Yi Tian must still have the different silver sand, and Yi Tian has already won a place. The extra silver sand should not be needed, right? Chapter 2312 Life is recast. Recipe. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian did not continue to bid after bidding for the next spot. And at this time, the great ancestor Jinli and some other great ancestors came to him. Ancestor Xuanming, do you have extra silver sand? Can you trade it for me? Faced with the requests of the great ancestors, Yi Tian almost ignored them. Because these great ancestors can't give anything good at all, if they are ordinary resources, no matter how much they are, they can't attract him. However, Jin Li's trading request attracted him. Ancestor Xuanming, how about I want to use a piece of knowledge to trade your different silver sand? This knowledge is blocked knowledge in the entire Xuanqi Zero realm. Even if you leave the hopeless land, it is difficult to obtain it. This knowledge is how to impact high-order infinite life forms. The words of Ancestor Jinli made Yi Tian a little moved. Different silver sand is not lacking at all for him now, but the knowledge of impacting high-level immeasurable life forms is very precious. It is good, Yi Tian agreed. Afterwards, they discussed it and finally decided to exchange 500,000 different silver sands for this knowledge. With 500,000 different silver sands, Great Ancestor Jinli has enough confidence to win a spot. Soon, Yi Tian completed the transaction with the Great Ancestor Jinli. I saw that Yi Tian took an inheritance ball and absorbed the internal knowledge, and soon knew how to hit 220 high-level immeasurable life forms. I didn't expect that the impact on the high-level immeasurable life form turned out to be like this. Yi Tian was secretly surprised. Through this inheritance knowledge, it is known that even if a middle-level immeasurable life form has reached the limit of cultivation, it is impossible to successfully attack the realm of high-rank immeasurable life forms. First of all, a middle-level immeasurable life form must be recast 9 times at the life level, so that it can support the power to impact the high-order immeasurable life form, otherwise the force of the impact will definitely die, and it is impossible to exist. In addition, the infinite will also has requirements, that is, the minimum scale is 500. Of course, the infinite Tao must also reach the limit state, which is also the minimum requirement. If you understand the infinite extreme Tao in advance, it is naturally the best. This is too high a requirement, the limitless will reach is 500, how is this possible? I used so many grey crystals in the sea of boundless suffering to temper the limitless will, and only raise the limitless will to 350. Yi Tian muttered. In his opinion, even if he has more grey crystals, it is impossible to raise the infinite will to the 500 scale. There must be some way, but he is not very clear at the moment. CJFJ. However, the most important thing is the recasting of life. If the level of life cannot be recast, it is impossible to break through anyway. And this knowledge also explains the recasting of life in detail, which is also blocked knowledge. Life recasting needs to use some materials to form a formula, and then recast the body, so that the life level can be transformed again and again. The strength improvement of each transformation is not large, but after the 9 recasts, the transformation of strength is still incomparably huge, and it has opened up the channel to the high-level immeasurable life form. The major forces in the Xuanqi territory have mastered the recipe for recasting, and they don't announce it, because they are afraid that those intermediate-level immeasurable beings will break through to high-level immeasurable beings, thus threatening their rule. Yi Tian guessed so, and the inheritance knowledge of the great ancestor Jinli does not contain any formula. Perhaps the great ancestor of Jinli has a formula, but it is impossible to exchange for a formula for this different silver sand. A formula may create a powerful force, its value is almost priceless. Certainly, the great ancestor of Jinli most likely does not have a formula, because many high-level immeasurable beings do not have a formula, and the major forces will strictly protect the formula, and will only give internal members finished resource materials, and it is difficult to deduce the formula from the resource materials. If the formula was so easy to deduce, it would no longer be a secret. After leaving the hopeless land, I have to find a way to get a formula. Yi Tian muttered. But the formula is definitely not so easy to get, and even if you join a certain top power, you can't get the formula easily, unless you become the top powerhouse of that power, you can hope to get the formula. Time passed slowly, and after a while, all 40 places were finally auctioned out. Okay, all 40 places have been auctioned, is there any great ancestor willing to sell Yi and Shi to us? If it doesn't sell this time, I can't say when I will come here next time, and it may even never come. It's over, said Xuanwu great ancestor. What, it might never come? The expressions of some intermediate-level immeasurable beings whose promotion time was not too long changed. But the other middle-level immeasurable lifeforms are very indifferent, so the great ancestor of Xuanqi Pavilion said the same last time, this is just to fool these great ancestors to trade Yi and Sand to them. It's just a trick. Sure enough, there was a middle-level immeasurable lifeform that couldn't bear it any longer, and traded all the few different silver sands in their hands in exchange for some resources. After there was no great ancestor willing to trade, the great ancestors of Xuanqi Pavilion greeted the 40 great ancestors who had bid for a place, and then flew to Yin Lincoln. In an instant, a cyan shield appeared on Yin Lin Kun's body, covering many great ancestors. The Yin Lin Kun escaped into the Void Galaxy, roaming in the Void Galaxy, and ordinary creatures would not dare to approach. Time passed little by little. Unexpected, those 2 high-level immeasurable beings had solemn expressions on their faces, which made many great ancestors nervous. At this time, the great ancestors of Xuanqi Pavilion explained, "Don't worry, everyone, this area is only the natural enemy creature of Yinlin Kun, the tailing dragon, but it may not be encountered. If the 2 elders of Qi Pavilion take action, nothing will happen." But even after hearing such an explanation, the other great ancestors were quite nervous, only Yi Tian was very calm. Suddenly, a black-tailed dragon appeared, roaring in the empty galaxy, and immediately killed the silver dragon. The strength of this head-tailed dragon is also a top middle-level immeasurable being, but in the void of the galaxy, the general high-level immeasurable life body will take some time to kill this head-tailed dragon. And high-level immeasurable lifeforms do not dare to fight with all their strength here, otherwise they will have to flee for their lives if they attract an overlord. Only Zan Wuda held a bow and aimed an arrow at the tail dragon. The power of this arrow is very powerful, enough to threaten the head-tailed dragon. Boom! The tailed dragon's body was hit, and pieces of scales shattered. And Xuanwu great ancestor did not continue to shoot, but let Yin Lincoln escape quickly. In a short time, Yin Lin Kun got rid of the tail dragon. It's safe. Many great ancestors breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 2313 The Capital of the Hurricane, the Incomplete Formula. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. After getting rid of the tail dragon, there is no danger behind, and the journey is very calm. Good luck. The ancestors of Xuanqi Pavilion and the ancestors from the hopeless land breathed a sigh of relief. After all, when crossing the void-free galaxy, even with the help of Yin Lin Kun, the danger is always there. If you are not careful, Yin Lin Kun will be killed and all the ancestors will fall. It is also possible. Like this time, the danger encountered is almost negligible. Time passed slowly, and suddenly the Yin Lin Kun stopped, and many great ancestors found that they had passed through the empty galaxy and saw another territory. Go down, Xuanwu Great Ancestor ordered. Whoa whoa whoa. A great ancestor from a hopeless land was driven out of the Yin Lin Kun and descended to another territory. The great ancestors of Xuanqi Pavilion all left here, and they did not take away the great ancestors of the hopeless land. After all, the mission of Xuanqi Pavilion is to take them away from the hopeless land, and they will not do any unnecessary things. The great ancestors of the hopeless land came here, and the road after that was to make their own way. Ancestor Xuanming, what are your plans? Ancestor Jin Li came to Yi Tian and asked. No plan, just take a look first. Yi Tian said casually. Ancestor Jin Li said. Ancestor Xuanming, I am going to the capital of hurricanes. If you want to find me in the future, you can go to the capital of hurricanes. Having said that, Jin Li Grand Ancestor said his goodbye. City of Hurricanes. Yi Tian doesn't know much about this place. In fact, he doesn't know much about the territory outside the hopeless land. Like the great ancestor Jin Li, they probably already knew about the situation outside the hopeless land, so they have the future in their hearts, planning. Swish, Yi Tian also left here and walked around. In the following days, Yi Tian traveled a lot and learned a lot about this place. The area where he is now is called Hurricane Territory, and the hurricane capital is the core giant city of Hurricane Territory, and it is also the most prosperous place in Hurricane Territory. When Yi Tian learned about the situation of the hurricane caller, he had to admit that the hurricane caller was too powerful. In Hurricane Territory, there are dozens of high-order immeasurable beings alone, and there are even more middle-order immeasurable beings. I will also go to the hurricane capital. In the hurricane territory, only the hurricane capital can obtain the formula of life reforging. Yi Tian muttered. Hurricane capital. Yi Tian came here, but did not go to Jinli Great Ancestor. Hurricane Court. This is the first force of the hurricane territory, and it is also the master of the hurricane territory. Half of the high-level immeasurable life forms of the hurricane territory come from the hurricane pavilion. The Hurricane Pavilion is a force for doing business, and it does all kinds of business. After Yi Tian entered the Hurricane Pavilion, he asked, does the Hurricane Pavilion sell the formula of life recasting? An ancestor of the Hurricane Pavilion shook his head and said, this ancestor, how precious the formula is, let alone our Hurricane Pavilion, no force will sell it. If your excellency does not join other forces, you can choose to join our Hurricane Pavilion. As long as you serve our Hurricane Pavilion for a long time, there is hope to obtain the resources of life recasting, but the formula can never be given. Oh, so do you sell resources for life reforging? Yi Tian asked again. It's not for sale, but Hurricane Pavilion will hold auctions every few years, and then there will be an auction of this kind of resources. The great ancestor of Hurricane Pavilion introduced. Yi Tian didn't stay any longer and left directly. Sure enough, the formula is impossible to buy, not even the resources. These forces control the formula and resources, and it is impossible for ordinary ancestors to attack the realm of high-level infinite life forms. Yi Tian secretly said. As for those middle-level immeasurable beings from the hopeless land, even if they entered the hurricane territory, they could only choose to join the Hurricane Pavilion or several other forces with formulas, and they could only hope to obtain this kind of resources after serving for countless years. But even so, their hope of breaking through to become a high-level immeasurable being is still very small. In the following days, Yi Tian stayed in the hurricane capital. According to his understanding, there are only 3 forces in the hurricane leader who have the formula. The 3 forces, the Hurricane Pavilion, the Sea Holy Mountain, and the Demon Sect, have the complete formula, and there are more than one formula. And these 3 forces, no matter which force they are, will not give resources easily, even if the talent is high, it is useless. Because there are only so many resources, if you want to obtain the resources to recast your life, you have to wait slowly. Therefore, Yi Tian would not choose to join these 3 forces. If you have the formula yourself, it will be different. Yi Tian muttered. For flowers, recipes are also created, and so he will hopefully create recipes. It is possible to create a complete formula, which is perfected one by one at the expense of the lives of countless great ancestors. It is almost unrealistic for a single great ancestor to create a formula by himself. Ghost Mountain. This is a special time and space in the hurricane capital. As long as there is foreign silver sand, any item can be traded here, even some prohibited items can be bought. Even the three forces of hurricane territory can't control this place, because there is a more powerful force behind Gaidu Mountain, but that force is not in hurricane territory. This day, Yi Tian bought a ticket to enter Gaidu Mountain, and then came in. 0. Soon, he entered an attic in Gaidu Mountain. This attic is very famous in Gaidu Mountain, it is called Kanshan Pavilion, and it has a lot of history behind it, so it dares to sell anything. Yi Tian found out about the existence of Kantian Pavilion and came here. As soon as he entered the cantilevered heaven pavilion, Yi Tian saw a woman. This woman was a middle-order immeasurable life form of the Blood Yu clan. I want to buy something. Yi Tian said. What did the great ancestor buy? The woman smiled. Formula. Yi Tian said simply. As soon as she heard the formula, the woman's expression changed. Our Kanshan pavilion doesn't have a complete formula. I want a crippled recipe. Yi Tian said. The incomplete formula, there is. The woman immediately smiled. A complete recipe refers to a recipe without any future problems, while an incomplete recipe is different. Although it is also a recipe created by the strong, it has huge flaws. Although it is possible to use the recipe to refine some resources for life recasting, but the sequelae are too great. In the end, these recipes can only allow the ancestors to recast their lives 4 or 5 times, and it is impossible for the middle-level infinite life body to complete 9 recasts and enter the high-level infinite life body realm. But even so, the strength will be improved after several times of life recasting, so the value of these incomplete formulas is still very high, and it is not easy to buy. Because the sale of incomplete recipes is not allowed, but the cantilever pavilion has a deep background, so no force dares to control their corpses. Chapter 2314 Massive amount of different silver sand. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Soon, the woman from Kanshan Pavilion came up with 3 incomplete formulas. Dragon Shadow Recipe, which can be recast 7 times, requires 130 million different silver sands. The 9-color formula, which can be recast 6 times, requires 31 million different silver sands. The Giant Spirit formula can be recast 4 times, and only 8.6 million different silver sands are needed. The women introduced them one by one. Immediately, she added, if there is no different silver sand, you can also use the following material resources as a substitute, but in the Xuanqi domain, the different silver sand is the most circulating material, and we also prefer the different silver sand. 1. It's so expensive. Yi Tian was a little surprised. One of the most rubbish incomplete recipes requires more than 8 million different silver sands, and those middle-level immeasurable beings in the hopeless land are difficult to collect even 1 million different silver sands. There is no way to collect ISO silver sand. Moreover, this is a hopeless land with little competition, and is rich in different silver sands. If it is in hurricane territory, I am afraid that it will be more difficult to collect the different silver sand, so those middle-level immeasurable lifeforms cannot even afford these incomplete formulas. The incomplete formula is too expensive, just sell the formula, you have nothing to lose. Yi Tian frowned. The woman said, this great ancestor, there are very few great ancestors who buy incomplete formulas, plus restrictions, if it is not more expensive to sell, then we don't need to sell it, right? When Yi Tian heard it, it made sense. However, he doesn't have that many different silver sands in his hands now, so he can only buy the Giant Spirit formula and study it. I'll buy the Jin formula first. Yi Tian said. When the woman heard it, she was overjoyed. She thought Yi Tian was just asking, but she didn't expect to actually buy the incomplete formula. Immediately, she took out the inheritance ball of the Giant Spirit formula, and after Yi Tian paid more than 8 million different silver sands, the transaction was completed. Soon, the deal was done. After purchasing the Giant Spirit formula, Yi Tian went back first, and then absorbed the Giant Spirit formula inheritance. Although this recipe is incomplete, it still records 36 kinds of materials, and these materials need to be refined into a resource material Giant Spirit Gold according to a certain proportion and according to a special refining method. After that, it is only necessary to absorb the power of the Giant Spirit Gold to temper the body. As long as the amount of Giant Spirit Gold is sufficient, life recasting can be completed, but the current limit is only 4 times of recasting. After being recast 4 times, it can no longer be improved, so the side effects are great. Although the side effects are very large, there are still many intermediate-level immeasurable life forms who want to obtain the Jin formula or Jin Gold. After all, it is good to improve some strengths. And Yi Tian found out that there is a familiar material in the giant spirit formula, different silver sand. Moreover, different silver sand is not an auxiliary material, but one of the main materials. It's no wonder that strange silver sand is so precious, and all major forces have to collect it. It is definitely not only the giant spirit formula that needs special silver sand, but those complete recipes also absolutely need special silver sand, and also need a lot of special silver sand. If there is not enough special silver sand, Yinsha, they will not be able to refine the formula materials, nor will they be able to cultivate high-level immeasurable life forms. Yi Tian thought to himself. Since the different silver sand is so precious, he seems to have to collect enough different silver sand. Then, Yi Tian immediately went to Wukong Galaxy, ready to go to the bottom of Wukong Galaxy to look for different silver sand. This time, he has to collect enough different silver sand. Empty Galaxy. Yi Tian came here, did not perceive the existence of other great ancestors, immediately copied a void-free galaxy creature, and then dived into the bottom of the void-free galaxy. It didn't take long for Yi Tian to find some idiosyncratic silver sands. Although there were not many, there were around 10,000. In the days that followed, Yi Tian kept looking for different silver sands, and after finding some of them, he sent them to the replica body of Xuanming Great Ancestor. In this way, the number of different silver sands on Yi Tian's body is increasing. After a period of time, Yi Tian had already found hundreds of millions of different silver sands. But even so, Yi Tian still felt that it was not enough. Not only did he have to buy those incomplete formulas, but he also had to conduct countless experiments. How could he be able to conduct experiments on his own? Another day, Yi Tian's replica body wandered at the bottom of the void of the Milky Way, and finally made a huge discovery. Yi Tian sensed a sandy beach at the bottom of the river, and this sandy beach radiated silver light. So many different silver sands. Yi Tian was shocked. This beach has nurtured a huge amount of different silver sand, although not all of them are different silver sand, but the number has reached a terrifying level. Wow! Yi Tian took away the grains of different silver sand, and instantly scraped away all the different silver sand on the beach at the bottom of the river. 1.8 billion different silver sands. Yi Tian figured it out in an instant. With so many different silver sands, even a major force like Xuanqi Pavilion would be crazy, enough to make high-level immeasurable lifeforms fight for it. Subsequently, Yi Tian returned to the hurricane capital with so many different silver sands, and another clone body continued to search for different silver sands in the Void Galaxy. After returning to the hurricane city, Yi Tian went to the Remnant Heaven Pavilion immediately and bought the other two incomplete formulas, which even directly alarmed the pavilion owner of the Remnant Heaven Pavilion, a high-level immeasurable being. However, the other party did not embarrass Yi Tian and still made the transaction. After all, this is a good thing for Kanshan Pavilion. The more ancestors who buy the formula, the more they earn, and they still have no business. But this kind of business without capital, also dare to do it here in 5.9, if other forces do it, I am afraid that it will be dead. After obtaining the Dragon Shadow formula, the 9-color formula and the Giant Spirit formula, Yi Tian first collected the materials needed in these three formulas. He has enough different silver sand, and although the materials on this are rare, they can still be bought. The secret is the formula, not the material, so there is no restriction on the material transaction, but it is difficult to buy it. It took some years for Yi Tian to collect enough materials, and some materials that were difficult to collect in large quantities could be fused together, so he also lacked those materials. Next, use the formula materials refined by replicating the body test, and then carry out perfect transformation, and strive to create a complete formula. Yi Tian decided. Chapter 2315 Different Sands. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Next, Yi Tian first refined the materials for these three formulas, and then used these materials to cultivate. In this way, become familiar with the subtleties of these three recipes. After a period of time, Yi Tian completed his first life recast. In fact, his current cultivation has not yet reached the time of life recasting, and doing so will affect the foundation. However, this replica body was originally used for experimentation, and naturally, there was no need to care about the fundamentals. After trying again and again, Yi Tian gradually understood the specific defects of these formulas, and then he had to erase these defects and improve the formula step by step. So, Yi Tian began to perfect the formula. However, it was very difficult at the beginning. Not only did the formula fail to be perfected, but the sequelae of the new formula were even greater, and it even failed completely. But Yi Tian did not fail every time, and there were times when he succeeded and perfected. As long as it is perfected once, it is progress. After making progress again and again, the formula will naturally get better and better. It's just that this method consumes too much resources, so Yi Tian has a lot of wealth and different silver sand, otherwise he really can't support such consumption. 29. The creation of each formula is the sacrifice of countless resources and a large number of ancestors, and it is no wonder that those big forces are reluctant to publish the formula or even strictly control it. Yi Tian muttered. In the blink of an eye, the first year of the 100,000 worlds has passed. After such a long time, Yi Tian didn't know how much isosilver sand was consumed, but in the end, Yi Tian really perfected and created a complete formula. The reason why it is a complete formula is not that Yi Tian successfully broke through to the high-order infinite life form with this formula, but that when the life was recast again and again, he did not find any drawbacks. That's the standard for complete recipes. This recipe is called the Silver Dragon recipe. Yi Tian muttered. This recipe requires a total of 28 kinds of materials, of which the main material is different silver sand, and it is a large amount of different silver sand. This formula requires 10 times more iso silver sand than other materials, and it also replaces several precious materials. In general, this formula is several times more expensive than those several incomplete formulas, and the requirement for iso silver sand is too high. Although he has not seen other complete recipes, he also feels that his recipe should be general in terms of resource utilization, and it is a recipe that wastes resources. Of course, he can still perfect and create better recipes, but it will take a long time. Forget it, if you can successfully create this Silver Dragon formula, just use this formula to practice. Anyway, I don't lack the silver sand, so I don't care about this resource consumption. Yi Tian muttered. Later, he refined a batch of Silver Dragon formula materials, also called Silver Dragon Gold. He has not yet reached the level of using the Silver Dragon Gold, he needs to first raise the cultivation base to the limit of the middle level immeasurable life form, and then use the Silver Dragon Gold. In this way, the potential can be maximized. If you use Silver Dragon Gold to complete life recasting now, although you can break through to the realm of high-level immeasurable beings, your future achievements will not be high, and it will be difficult to upgrade to invincible levels at the level of high-level immeasurable beings. Then, in the following years, Yi Tian focused on collecting a lot of resources that would help improve his cultivation, and also tried his best to acquire some resources that could improve his immeasurable will. But his boundless will is very high, and there are too few useful resources for him. But in any case, he is still making progress slowly, and that's enough. This day, when Yi Tian was searching for different silver sands in Wukong Galaxy, he suddenly discovered another material. This kind of material was mixed in these different silver sands when he found a piece of different silver sand. These are also sands, similar to different silver sand, but the energy contained inside is more than 10 times more than that of different silver sand. This should be the same material as isosilver, but better. Yi Tian thought to himself. He also knew it had to be something better, so he collected it. If the different silver sand is fused, can it be fused into this golden sand? Yi Tian thought to himself. So, he tried it himself, and the result was really integrated. However, he would naturally not use this golden sand until he understood the usefulness of this golden sand. Moreover, the formula he created, the Silver Dragon formula, used different silver sand. If he used golden sand, it should fail. The capital of hurricanes, the remnant heaven pavilion in the ghost capital mountain. Yi Tian came here again. He found that he had inquired everywhere but had never heard of the golden sand similar to the different silver sand. It seemed that there was no such information at all. Therefore, he can only come here to understand the situation. Items for sale, Yi Tian said after entering the cannibal pavilion. The one who received Yi Tian was still the same woman last time, but when Yi Tian had a grain of golden sand, the woman was shocked. Soon, the pavilion master of Kanshan Pavilion, the high-level immeasurable lifeform, came. Ancestor Xuanming, we meet again. The master Fengyan Dazu of Kanshan Pavilion said with a smile. The great ancestor of Fengyan, I didn't expect you to come here again by selling this item. Yi Tian smiled and said, to be honest, I don't know what this item is, but I got it by accident, can you tell me what it is? Fengyan Dazu smiled and said, you should get more than one of these things, right? Is it to understand the usefulness of this item? If you are willing to sell enough of this item, I can tell you these 233 kinds of items for free. Value, how? I only have over 100 grains. God casually said. More than 100 grains, okay. Fengyan great ancestor was overjoyed. Immediately, Yi Tian made a deal with Kantian Pavilion. And the value of 100 grains of golden sand is actually comparable to the value of 1 million different silver sands, which made Yi Tian stunned. This is equivalent to a grain of golden sand can be exchanged for 10,000 different silver sands, and when he fuses, only 100 different silver sands can be fused into one golden sand. After the transaction was completed, the great ancestor Fengyan revealed, this sand is called Yijinsha, and there is a very low probability that a small amount of Yijinsha will be born in some places that produce Yijinsha. In fact, 90% of the treasures of Yijinsha there is no such treasure as Yijinsha. Compared with Yijinsha, Yijinsha not only has higher energy, but also has an additional effect, which is stability. If you can't continue to refine, you have to hit the high-level immeasurable life form. The reason why you can't continue the 10th recasting is that it is unstable after the forced recasting. And things refined with the formula of the different golden sand can be recast the 10th time. Casting. Of course, you must use the formula from the first time you recast your life. But the number of different sands is too small, so that the major forces are unable to use the formula in large quantities, and at most 1 or 2 ancestors are trained. It's the limit. It is so, Yi Tian suddenly realized. Chapter 2316 Golden Dragon Stone, Recasting the Level of Life. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Does the Cantilever Pavilion have a formula for Yijinsha? Yi Tian asked. This question is a secret. Fengyan Grand Ancestor said. However, even if there is a formula of Yijinsha, it is impossible to sell it. Even ordinary formulas are not allowed, let alone Yijinsha formula. In addition, Yijinsha formula does not exist. Those with incomplete formulas, because no forces will study the incomplete formulas. Yi Tian nodded. Isogen is so rare that it is impossible to use it to study the incomplete formula. Afterwards, Yi Tian talked with Fengyan Great Ancestor and found that the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion would not even sell the Yijinsha formula materials. Unless he traded a large amount of Yijinsha, the Cantilevered Sky Pavilion would only give him a small amount of formula materials. But Yi Tian naturally wouldn't do this unless he was stupid. If it really sold a large amount of Yijinsha to Kanshan Pavilion, how would you explain the origin of Yijinsha? At that time, Kanshan Pavilion will definitely take action against him, or follow him. Moreover, even if a large amount of Yijinsha was sold, there was no way to gather enough materials to recast his life more than 9 times. Afterwards, Yi Tian left the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion. In the next period of time, I will not leave the hurricane capital first. I have exposed the different sands this time. Even if the ancestors of Fengyan will not do anything, after the news is leaked, it does not mean that other ancestors will not spy on me. Yi Tian thought so, and stayed in the capital of hurricanes. Anyway, he now has a huge amount of different silver sand in his hand, which can be fused into a huge amount of different golden sand, and then perfected and created a formula based on the Silver Dragon formula. In this case, he can refine the Yijinsha formula materials by himself. Anyway, he already has experience, just spend some more time. So, over the next few years, Yi Tian spent his time creating the Yijinsha formula. Since he didn't know the Yijinsha formula and didn't have any incomplete formulas to refer to, he could only create according to the Yinlong formula. In a blink of an eye, a period of time passed. There are really high-level immeasurable beings to spy on me. Yi Tian frowned slightly. Maybe that high-level immeasurable lifeform thought he was hiding deeply, but he still couldn't hide his copying talent. Apparently, his sale of Yijinsha has been exposed. However, he did not panic at all. Even if he really encountered danger, or was targeted by a major force, he would stay in the hurricane capital. He also has other replica bodies that do not affect his actions. Ghost Mountain. The great ancestor Fengyan of Kanshan Pavilion is seeing a high-level immeasurable life form. This is the great ancestor from the headquarters. The great ancestor of the ape leopard, you are here. Fengyan Great Ancestor smiled. Let's take a look. After all, you have actually acquired some Yijinsha here. Although the quantity is rare, it is still possible to save a little and gather a few materials. It is impossible for the major forces to sell Yijinsha, but now there are ancestors who sell it. The above is naturally curious. Have you heard about the origin of the great ancestor? The great ancestor of the ape leopard asked. I heard that it came from a hopeless place. Fengyan Dazu said. However, it seems that it is not good for us to do this. What's wrong? The great ancestor of the ape leopard sneered. If he really found a place where heirlooms came from, then he might find more of them, or he might have more than that. Anyway, I'm not involved in this matter. Fengyan Great Ancestor said. Don't worry, I'll leave this matter to me. Great Ancestor Ape Leopard waved his hand. However, no matter how powerful Kanshin Pavilion is, it is impossible to start in the capital of hurricanes, so the great ancestor of the monkey leopard stayed in the capital of hurricanes. Even if you wait a few more years, it will be worth it. In the blink of an eye, it was the first year of the 10,000 worlds again. With the help of countless resources, as well as the resources found in the void-free galaxy, Yi Tian's cultivation base gradually approached the limit of the middle-level infinite life form. This day, Yi Tian felt the prying again. That high-level immeasurable life form hasn't left yet. 1 inch. Yi Tian frowned. Obviously, the other party has his eyes on him and has been staying in the hurricane capital. However, his current strength is not yet a match for the high-level immeasurable beings, so if he leaves the hurricane capital and this clone body is killed, he will have to give up the identity of the great ancestor of Xuanming who has worked so hard. So, he still can't leave. When I recast my life a few more times, even if I can't beat that high-level immeasurable life form, I will have the confidence to protect myself. Yi Tian murmured. After another period of time, Yi Tian's cultivation base was no longer able to advance an inch, reaching the limit of the middle-level limitless life form. Next, it is necessary to recast life. At this time, he also successfully created the formula of different golden sand, which was created on the basis of the silver dragon formula, which he called the golden dragon formula. The material refined by this golden dragon formula is called golden dragon stone, and the effect of recasting life is about 7 or 8 times that of silver dragon gold. For ordinary ancestors, it is undoubtedly too wasteful to recast the level of life with the golden dragon stone. But the golden dragon stone recast life level is very stable. Even after 9 recasts, you can continue to recast without causing the body to collapse. The benefits and potential it brings cannot be seen at the moment, but when the cultivation level is high, it can be seen. I don't know if my golden dragon stone formula is good or not, but it's definitely not bad. After all, I use a lot of different golden sands in this formula, and those big forces can't bear to use so many different golden sands as formula materials. Yi Tian muttered. Start practicing. Yi Tian took out a golden dragon stone, and immediately absorbed it into his body, and began to use it to refine his life level and recast it. If you want to complete the first recast, only one material is definitely not enough. According to the previous experiments, at least 10 materials are required. Boom! The golden dragon stone melted, wrapped Yi Tian's whole body, and began to recast his life in a special way. Yi Tian only felt that his body collapsed and healed again and again, recasting his life in a very violent way. And in this case, his promise body also seems to be progressing. You must know that it is very difficult to improve after the promise body reaches the realm of minor achievement, but I did not expect that it can be improved even when life is recast, but the extent of improvement is very small, and it is very difficult to reach the realm of major achievement. After a long time, this piece of golden dragon stone was consumed, which was equivalent to a piece of material that was gone. Immediately, Yi Tian prepared another golden dragon stone to continue recasting the level of life. Chapter 2317 6 Lives Recast. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. As the golden dragon stones were consumed, Yi Tian finally completed the first life recasting, his body became stronger, and even his boundless will increased. Yi Tian tested it and found that his boundless will had already increased to 380. Before, my boundless will was at around 360, so it's hard to increase it. Now, after completing one life recast, it will directly increase by 20 points. In this case, after 9 life recasts, the boundless will definitely reach 500. Scale, reaching the standard of impacting high-order immeasurable life forms. Yi Tian muttered. Before, when he didn't conduct the life recasting experiment, he felt that it was almost impossible for the middle-level immeasurable life body to raise the immeasurable will to 500. Only later did I know that life recasting can enhance the infinite will, so it is possible to increase the infinite will to 500 scale, but even if the general middle-level immeasurable life body has completed 9 life recasting, it may still not reach the level the 500 scale requires the assistance of many precious treasures to raise the limitless will to the 500 standard. After completing the first life recasting, Yi Tian checked his combat power and found that the boosting effect was better than the effect of using the silver dragon gold before. As expected of the Yijinsha formula, the increase in life recasting is higher each time, and the 10th recast can be carried out in the future. No wonder even the forces like Kanshin Pavilion are so eager to obtain Yijinsha. Yi Tian knows that if he exposes the secret of his own 233 possessing a large number of different golden sands, he is afraid that he will be besieged by countless high-level immeasurable beings the next day. Of course, as long as he doesn't reveal himself, no one knows this secret. In the following years, Yi Tian refined a large number of golden dragon stones, constantly recasting his life level. Although after recasting life for the first time, it becomes more and more difficult to recast the level of life later, but at least the first few times are still very easy. After a period of time, Yi Tian directly completed 5 life recasts. Starting from the 6th life recasting, the resources and time spent are very long, but the strength increase of each life recasting will also be higher. After the first year of 10,000 worlds, Yi Tian finally completed the 6th life recast with the help of hundreds of golden dragon stones. This time, the recasting of life made Yi Tian's strength skyrocket directly, and the magnitude of life transformation was too great. I didn't expect the 6th life recast, the strength would increase so much. Yi Tian said excitedly. He felt that his current strength should hopefully be comparable to that of ordinary high-level immeasurable beings. Of course, it refers to the high-level immeasurable beings who have not comprehended the immeasurable extreme way, and the immeasurable body is not the superior immeasurable body, otherwise he will not be able to beat it. After all, there is a huge gap between the immeasurable beings of the intermediate level and the immeasurable beings of the high level. This time I will lead out that high-order immeasurable life form first, or else there will always be a high-order immeasurable life form staring at me, which would be uncomfortable. 1 inch. Yi Tian thought to himself. This is also because the strength of the high-level immeasurable being is not too strong, and he feels that he can handle it, otherwise he would not do it. So on this day, Yi Tian's duplicate body left the hurricane capital. The great ancestor Xuanming has finally left the hurricane capital. The great ancestor of the ape and leopard immediately chased after him. If he can get a lot of different golden sands from Yi Tian, then he has made a great contribution. Although this possibility is unlikely, he is willing to try. After all, at his level, it is too difficult to make further progress, and he thinks that his potential is average, and his status in Kanshan Pavilion is just that. Therefore, he must strive for greater credit in order to obtain greater cultivation from the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion. Otherwise, relying on him to cultivate slowly and painstakingly, he would not be able to make progress for countless years. Soon, Yi Tian came to a void in hurricane territory and waited for the arrival of the great ancestor of the ape leopard. After the great ancestor of the ape leopard came, he didn't show up. He wanted to hide and follow Yi Tian to see if he could find the treasured land of Jinsha. Come out, the great ancestor of the ape and leopard. Yi Tian called him the title of the great ancestor of the ape and leopard. The great ancestor of the ape leopard only knew that he was exposed at this time. He only thought that Yi Tian was good at perception and had a special way of perception, so that he could see his whereabouts. The great ancestor ape leopard walked out of nothingness and said, I didn't expect you not only to know that there are high-level immeasurable beings following you, but also my identity. CJFJ. The great ancestor of the ape leopard, what are you doing following me? Yi Tian questioned. It's nothing, I'm just curious about where you got your different golden sand, tell me, or you won't be able to leave today. The great ancestor ape leopard showed a cruel smile, he didn't believe that Yi Tian could escape from him. As long as Yi Tian couldn't escape, no one would know about this matter, and it would not affect the reputation of the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion. Just you, Yi Tian sneered. Seeing Yi Tian mocking himself, the great ancestor of the ape leopard was extremely angry and immediately shot. Boom! The terrifying breath permeated from the body of the great ancestor of the ape leopard, and the body of the holy ape also broke out completely. The body of the ape saint is an immeasurable body of inferiority, and now it has also been cultivated to the realm of small achievement by the great ancestor of the ape leopard. But other than that, the great ancestor of the ape leopard is nothing special, the infinite Tao is only at the limit state, and the infinite will is only 1,000 scales, which is normal. Ape strike. The great ancestor of the ape leopard held a long stick and hit it hard, carrying a terrifying power. Even the most top-notch intermediate level immeasurable life forms will be directly blown up by this blow and turned into nothingness. Certainly, great ancestor ape leopard didn't want to kill Yi Tian. After all, he hadn't received the news of Yi Jinsha, so he stopped and only prepared to inflict heavy damage on Yi Tian. However, Yi Tian mobilized the body of Wuji, and the power of infinite poles emerged from his body. He shook the blow of the great ancestor of the ape leopard with one hand, and his body was towering and motionless. The 3 immeasurable life forms of the district level, that's all. Yi Tian mocked again. Impossible. The great ancestor of the ape and leopard was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that Yi Tian would actually become a superior and immeasurable body, and he had also cultivated to the realm of small achievement, which was not too far from the realm of big achievement. Moreover, Yi Tian also comprehended the infinite extreme Tao and mastered the infinite extreme Tao control technique. In addition, Yi Tian's foundation is too terrifying. It seems that it has only been recasted 6 times, but it is even more terrifying than the foundation of 9 life recasts. Is this level of strength still a middle-level immeasurable life form? Boom! The great ancestor of the ape leopard and Yi Tian kept fighting, but were suppressed again and again. If the great ancestor of the ape leopard knew that Yi Tian's cloned body was only a cloned body with low combat power, and was not as terrifying as its original body, he would definitely be dumbfounded. Endless golden spear. Yi Tian burst out with all his combat power, and a little golden light tore apart the many defenses of the great ancestor of the ape and leopard, and a blow penetrated his body. However, the great ancestor of the ape and leopard is a high-level immeasurable being after all, so this injury is nothing. But the great ancestor of the ape leopard knew that he was not Yi Tian's opponent, so he fled without saying a word. Yi Tian didn't chase after him either. He still doesn't have the strength to kill a high-order immeasurable being. Chapter 2318 Hallugen. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Hurricane Capital. The great ancestor of the ape leopard was injured and returned, and immediately hid in the Kanshan pavilion in Gaidu Mountain. After Fengyan great ancestor knew about it, he came over immediately. Great ancestor ape leopard, are you injured? Which high-ranking great ancestor of Hurricane Caller fought? Great ancestor Fengyan asked. It's the great ancestor of Xuanming. 1. The great ancestor of the ape leopard was a little embarrassed, said. What, it's him? Fengyan great ancestor was shocked. How is this possible? Xuanming great ancestor is only a middle-level immeasurable being, how can he beat the ape leopard the great ancestor? It's true, ape leopard great ancestor said. The Xuanming great ancestor is very powerful. Not only has he cultivated a superior and immeasurable body, but he is also close to the realm of Dacheng, and he has also comprehended the immeasurable extreme way, and his body is very strong. It is inferior to the top middle-level immeasurable life form that has recast his life 9 times. And his foundation is terrifying, far exceeding the same level. 1. How can such a demonic intermediate-level immeasurable life form come from a hopeless place? It should only be cultivated by the most terrifying forces in Xuanqi territory. 1. Fengyan great ancestor frowned. Soon, great ancestor Fengyan hurriedly said, you have to leave the hurricane capital quickly, and this matter must have offended great ancestor Xuanming, and it is not a good thing to provoke such an enchanting genius. It should be very easy for us to get rid of the great ancestor Xuanming from the Kanshan pavilion. The great ancestor of the ape leopard said coldly. It's really simple, but can't Heaven Pavilion will not offend such a great ancestor. What if he has a background, such as a powerful master? Even if he doesn't have a strong background and let him escape, it will bring a new one to Can't Heaven Pavilion. A powerful enemy. Therefore, the top high-level immeasurable life form of the Cantilever Pavilion will not take action. Fengyan Grand Ancestor said. I know. The great ancestor of the ape leopard did not continue to say anything, and immediately left. Yi Tian didn't go looking for the trouble of Cantian Pavilion, but returned to the residence of Hurricane City and continued to retreat and practice. This time he only injured the great ancestor of the ape leopard, and it was not considered a real conflict with the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion. If the Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion is really stupid and dares to do it, it means that Cantilevered Heaven Pavilion is dead. Without the high-level immeasurable beings secretly spied on, Yi Tian would not have the risk of exposure when he handed over to other cloned bodies. Another period of time passed. Yi Tian consumed a lot of the golden dragon stone that was refined and finally completed the 7th life recasting, and his strength increased again. And this time the increase is even greater than previously imagined. The Yijinsha formula is used for life recasting. The more times of recasting, the more terrifying the increase in strength. If I wait for 10 times of life recasting, I am afraid that I really have the strength to kill ordinary high-level infinite life forms. Yi Tian muttered. Moreover, his immeasurable will has exceeded 400 now, reaching the level of 480 scales, which is not far from the 500 scales required to impact high-level immeasurable life forms. With his current strength, he can easily defeat the great ancestor of the ape and leopard. This day, when Yi Tian was practicing, the great ancestor Jinli came to visit. Yi Tian has been in the hurricane capital for so long, and the great ancestor Jinli has known it for a long time. He has been here several times, but Yi Tian and the great ancestor Jinli have not had much intersection. Grand Ancestor Jinli, what are you looking for from me? Yi Tian asked. At this time, Grand Ancestor Jin Li smiled and said, Grand Ancestor Zan Ming, this time is a good thing. Good thing. Yi Tian was a little puzzled, not knowing what the good thing Jin Li said. Immediately afterwards, the Great Ancestor Jin Li revealed, the Great Ancestor Xuanming, the Hurricane Pavilion disclosed news to the outside world that he is preparing to recruit a large number of intermediate-level immeasurable beings, and is preparing to take the initiative to dominate the Wukong galaxy. The ancestors who have made contributions can use their merits to exchange for the resource of life recasting in the Hurricane Pavilion, Hurricane Stone. Or they can choose to join the Hurricane Pavilion. No matter what the situation is, it is a big opportunity. This news has just been released. I'm here to find you, and we will work together to have someone to take care of you. Judging from the great ancestor of Jinli, Yi Tian must be very moved. After all, Yi Tian has not joined any forces, so he definitely does not have the resources to recast his life. However, the great ancestor Jin Li didn't know that Yi Tian had already completed 7 life recastings, and he still used the different Jinsha formula for life recasting. Even the Hurricane Pavilion did not have such conditions. Hurricane Pavilion is a domineering master of the Wukong galaxy. Can they kill them? Yi Tian was quite shocked. As for the benefits given by Hurricane Pavilion, he doesn't like it. I don't know the reason, but a force like Hurricane Pavilion is sure to take action. Although there are dangers, such an opportunity is hard to come by. Said Great Ancestor Jinli. Grand Ancestor Jinli, I'm not interested, so I won't participate. Asking for flowers, Yi Tian refused directly. Grand Ancestor Jin Li still wanted to persuade, but Yi Tian had no interest in cooperating at all, so he left in the end. After Great Ancestor Jin Li left, Yi Tian went to inquire about the news. After all, he wanted to know the reason for such a big event. Finally, after inquiring about how convenient, Yi Tian understood the reason. It turns out that a certain area of the Wukong galaxy is about to usher in a specific meeting period. During the meeting period, other overlords of the Wukong galaxy will naturally not be able to enter, and there will be no reinforcements. As long as you seize the opportunity during the confluence period, you can enter the area of the void-free galaxy, and then enter the confluence period together. At that time, the only opponent of Hurricane Building will be the Overlord. As long as the Overlord is killed, the Overlord territory and resources belong to the Hurricane Building. If there is no confluence period, the Hurricane Building will not dare to do it even if it is 10 times stronger, but the confluence period gives the Hurricane Building hope. As for why to take the initiative to that tyrant, this involves an interest. Heilu Jin, this kind of material is a resource needed by high-level immeasurable life forms, and it is extremely rare. It is only available in Wukong Galaxy, and even if it can be found in Wukong Galaxy, it can't be found. It is given by those overlords, in control. Those overlords have countless subordinates, and they have already collected the seafloor gold of Wukong Galaxy. The overlord that the Hurricane Pavilion is going to deal with not only has a lot of seafloor gold, but even has a huge ore vein, so the Hurricane Pavilion has a mine for it. There should be more than one force in the Hurricane Pavilion, but no matter how many forces do it, they will definitely lose a lot in the end, and those middle-level immeasurable beings are cannon fodder. Yi Tian secretly said, those middle-rank immeasurable beings also know the fate of their cannon fodder, but for the sake of opportunities also have to take risks. The great ancestor of Jinli was also afraid of danger, so he kept looking for cooperation with the great ancestor. In this way, the hope of survival will be greater. Heilujin, I will definitely be able to be a high-level immeasurable life form in the future. This time you have to get involved too. If you can get some seafloor gold, that would be great. Yi Tian thought so. As for finding seafloor gold by himself, there is no hope, because they are all occupied by the overlords. He is going to take advantage of that. When the overlord fought against the major forces, he took the opportunity to seize the golden corpse of Heilu. Chapter 2319 The Virtual Whale, the meeting period is coming. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. After Yi Tian inquired about the approximate time of Hurricane Pavilion's shot, he was ready to start planning. He will not act with the Hurricane Pavilion, but is going to copy a voidless galaxy creature that is comparable to the middle-level infinite life form. There are too many such creatures in the voidless galaxy. And it only needs to copy the airless galaxy creatures in the distant area, and the identity will not be revealed, and then sneak into the territory where the Overlord is located. As for the information about the Void Galaxy Overlord, Yi Tian also collected information, which is a high-level immeasurable life form, the Void Whale. This overlord belongs to the top existence among the high-level immeasurable beings, and is still in the empty galaxy, occupying a geographical advantage. There are also 5 immeasurable life forms under the subordinates of the virtual whale, as well as thousands of middle-order immeasurable life forms, tens of thousands of first-order immeasurable life forms, and countless others who are only 2, 3, inferior to the great ancestor. Biology. If it is in the hurricane territory, such a scale is not a big deal, but in the empty galaxy, even if the hurricane pavilion is all out, it can't help the overlord, and the forcible invasion will be counter-killed. Therefore, only the confluence period can hope to win. Time passed slowly, and a large number of middle-level immeasurable lifeforms in the hurricane territory signed up to participate in the action of the hurricane pavilion. And the arrival of the confluence period is getting closer and closer, and many ancestors of the hurricane are also starting to prepare. But the Void Galaxy Overlord did not react. It didn't know that the hurricane leader was going to attack him, because the creatures of the Void Galaxy had no communication with the outside world, and naturally had no way to know the news of the hurricane leader. Certainly, Shu Mijing also knew about the confluence period. After all, the confluence period was not the first time, so he gathered all his subordinates together and waited for the confluence period to come. The confluence period didn't exist for a long time, so he thought it would be fine if he was careful, and he didn't think there would be anything major. Finally, the confluence period is coming. Boom. The dense ancestors descended on the edge of the void of the Milky Way. This is the place closest to the overlord territory of the virtual whale. From here, you can enter the territory of the virtual whale as soon as possible. This time, in order to deal with the virtual whale, the Hurricane Pavilion and other forces dispatched a total of 23 high-level immeasurable beings, as well as a large number of middle-level immeasurable beings. At this time, they are all waiting here to enter the virtual whale territory at the best time. In the surrounding, there are also many great ancestors watching. They did not sign up to participate, just came to watch the excitement. Yi Tian's cloned body was also observed nearby, and he just wanted to grasp the trend of Hurricane Pavilion, so he came here, and his other cloned body of the Void-Free Galaxy was already at the bottom of the Void-Free Galaxy, close to the Void Whale territory. You can step into that place at any time and enter the confluence period. Almost. The Pavilion Master of the Hurricane Pavilion, the great ancestor of the high-level immeasurable life form Hurricane, deduced the time and immediately ordered, all the ancestors enter the Void-Free Galaxy with me. In an instant, a giant boat appeared, and a great ancestor boarded the giant boat. This is not an ordinary giant boat, but a giant boat that can cross the Void Galaxy. It is a giant boat that Hurricane Pavilion spent countless years and countless materials refining, which can offset the influence of Void Galaxy. Without this giant boat, after many intermediate-level infinite lifeforms enter the Void-Free Galaxy, their strength will be suppressed to a very low level, and before they reach the territory of the virtual whale, they will have to fight with countless Void-Free Galaxy creatures. In this way, not only will there be countless intermediate-level lifeforms falling, but also the time will be delayed, unable to reach the virtual whale territory in time, thus missing the meeting period. In the blink of an eye, a large number of ancestors poured into this giant boat, and the giant boat directly disappeared into the Void-Free Galaxy and disappeared. Around, the other great ancestors were discussing the operation of Hurricane Pavilion. The Hurricane Pavilion is so courageous that it dares to take the initiative against the Void Whale Tyrant of the Void Galaxy. The risk is too great. Although Hurricane Pavilion has the confidence, even if it succeeds, the losses will be extremely heavy. Why would the upper management of Hurricane Pavilion care about this loss? For the sake of seafloor gold, as long as they can improve their strength, it is worth sacrificing more ancestors. As for those ancestors who recast resources for their lives, as for taking risks for that little resource, maybe it will be lost there. That's it. Even if we can't break through to become a high-level immeasurable life form, we can cultivate slowly, so why go to death? If the Hurricane Pavilion fails, it will be funny. Let's go back. 1. The huge boat in Hurricane Pavilion is very fast in the Void Galaxy. Even if a creature sees it, it cannot be stopped, and if it is blocked forcibly, it will be directly crushed by the huge boat. Soon, the giant boat came to the territory of the virtual whale, and arrived at the area that would enter the confluence period. At the same time, Yi Tian also let his clone body reach this area. Virtual Whale Mountain. This is the residence of the Void Whale Overlord at the bottom of the empty galaxy, which has become a space and time of its own. The virtual whale is usually in a deep sleep, but near the intersection, he naturally woke up long ago, and almost all his subordinates are in the nearby area, resulting in this area full of creatures comparable to the great ancestor. Unexpected, the eyes of the virtual whale saw the huge boat of the hurricane pavilion through the layers of water. The giant boat is a force from outside the void-free galaxy. The virtual whale was furious. The forces outside Wukong Galaxy dared to come to his sight, and the direction pointed directly at Zumi Jingshan, which was to find him trouble. It was not that there was no power to trouble him before, but they all died at his hands. Convergence period. It seems that this force thought that my sight was about to enter the intersection period and found an opportunity. The virtual whale roared and notified all the creatures under his command. Once the 5.9 enemy arrived, he would shoot directly. This piece of water immediately began to shake. All great ancestors are very clear that this is about to enter the confluence period. In an instant, this piece of water directly lost its connection with the outside world and entered a confluence period. During the meeting, the outside creatures cannot enter, and the inside creatures cannot go out. Not only that, but more importantly, the Milky Way in the waters of the Void Whale has lost the suppression of the Void Galaxy. Although its own waters are also suppressed to a certain extent, it is not as powerful as the overall pressure of the Void Galaxy. This makes the virtual whale no longer invincible here. Otherwise, in the void-free galaxy, the Void Whale alone can slaughter the entire Hurricane Pavilion by himself. Chapter 2320 The Treasure House of Halu. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. After entering the confluence period, the overlord of the virtual whale did not panic, and he still had full confidence in himself. And the huge boat in the Hurricane Pavilion also stopped, and many great ancestors came out of the huge boat one by one and entered the bottom of the empty galaxy. At this time, the creatures under the overlord of the virtual whale also killed them and surrounded these ancestors one by one. The fight has begun. Boom. In an instant, this place turned into a battlefield. The Hurricane Pavilion has the advantage of being more high-order immeasurable life forms and intermediate-order immeasurable life forms, while the virtual whale overlord has a certain geographical advantage, but the geographical advantage is not so big now. Certainly, there are also many elementary-level immeasurable life forms and countless creatures below the first-order immeasurable life forms under the illusory whale overlord, which can also play a certain role. At the beginning, the overlord of the virtual whale didn't take action, but seeing that his subordinates suffered heavy casualties, he stopped watching the show. The huge body of the virtual whale overlord appeared on the battlefield, causing many ancestors to tremble. Shu Mi whale overlord, you finally appeared. The pavilion master of the Hurricane Pavilion, Hurricane Great Ancestor, also made a move, joining forces with two other high-level immeasurable beings to besiege the Zumi whale overlord. Just as they fought, a golden mask covered the overlord of the Void Whale and the Great Ancestor Hurricane, directly dividing the battlefield. This is. The overlord of the virtual whale looked at the mask around him, and suddenly understood something. Its huge body slammed into the mask, but it did not shake the mask. Shu Mi whale overlord, don't hit it, it's useless. If the confluence period ends, your territory returns to the Void Galaxy. With your strength and the suppression of the Void Galaxy, there is still hope to break this mask, but now there is no what hope. Unless you can kill me, this mask will lose its energy and will be broken by you. Hurricane Ancestor said. This mask was traded from a more powerful force at a certain price, just for today's invasion. Sacrifice such a treasure. If you get the sea floor gold of the virtual whale overlord, it will be worth it. Then I'll kill you. 1 inch. The virtual whale overlord said in anger. Boom. The Void Whale Overlord and the Hurricane Ancestor are fighting. In terms of strength, the Hurricane Ancestor is naturally not as good as the Void Whale Overlord, or a lot worse. However, in a short period of time, the Overlord of the Virtual Whale can't kill the Hurricane Ancestors. And without the Overlord of the Virtual Whale, the creatures under his command can't stop the countless middle-level life forms of the Hurricane Pavilion. At the same time, the other high-level immeasurable lifeforms of the Hurricane Pavilion entered the Shawimi Jingshan Mountain, and almost all the good things of the Shawimi Whale Overlord are placed here, including the sea floor gold mine, which is also here. The goal of the Hurricane Pavilion is to capture the gold of the sea floor, and the others are incidental behaviors. However, just when these great ancestors of Hurricane Pavilion were killed at Shawimi Jingshan Mountain, another Shawimi whale appeared, and the terrifying aura made these ancestors look terrified. Another virtual whale overlord. No, the strength is slightly weaker, but it is also comparable to the high-level immeasurable life form. This is the heir of the virtual whale overlord. Hurricane Pavilion was stunned. They never expected this situation. This is not to blame them. After all, it is very difficult for their hurricane leader to inquire about the information about Wukong Galaxy. They have a general understanding of the strength of Zumi Jingshan, but they did not find out that Zumi Jingshan still hides another Zumi whale that has been sleeping for many years. Although the strength of this virtual whale is not as good as that of the virtual whale overlord, it is also much more powerful than the ordinary high-level immeasurable life forms. In addition, it is here, and the advantage is even greater. In order to deal with the illusory whale overlord, the three most powerful high-level immeasurable lifeforms have joined forces to trap the imaginary whale overlord, and the remaining high-level immeasurable beings are not too powerful. Come more great ancestors to deal with this virtual whale. A high-level immeasurable lifeform ordered. Boom. 8 high-level immeasurable lifeforms shot together to deal with this virtual whale. Even so, it was barely a draw. At this time, a group of great ancestors of Hurricane Pavilion had already started to search for Halu Gold in Zumi Jingshan, and started to enter the Halu Gold mine to mine ore veins. It's just that there are those creatures blocking it, and the mining process is naturally very difficult. For the Hurricane Pavilion, it is best to find the treasure house that stores the seafloor gold. Like those overlords of Wukong Galaxy, they never put treasures on their bodies, they are all placed in the treasure house of their old nest. This is a habit. What no one knew was that Yi Tian had mixed into Zumi Jingshan and was also looking for a treasure trove. It's just that the side of the virtual whale treats Yi Tian as his own, because Yi Tian's cloned body is a creature of the void of the galaxy and does not belong to the great ancestors of the hurricane. And those great ancestors of the hurricane caller would naturally attack when they saw Yi Tian, but Yi Tian did not start with them and ran away. Unexpected, Yi Tian used his copying talent to sense that the time and space fighting somewhere in Zumi Jingshan was extremely fierce. As predicted, when Yi Tian arrived there, a group of great ancestors were fighting with a group of elites from Zumi Jingshan Mountain. This group of elites from Zumi Jingshan Mountain is a family of deep-water giant apes, each wearing weapons made of seafloor gold, and each of them is comparable to the top middle-level immeasurable life forms that have been recast 6 or 7 times of life level 233, and there are so many that together they are comparable to 1 or 2 high-level immeasurable beings. However, 3 high-level immeasurable lifeforms have already arrived from the Hurricane Building, and it is only a matter of time to defeat this group of deep-water giant apes. When Yi Tian came here, he was directly targeted by several great ancestors, and they immediately attacked. Yi Tian was too lazy to pay attention to these great ancestors, and his goal was directly at the entrance to the treasure house not far away. It should be this treasure house. After they break through this treasure house, I will take the opportunity to go in and snatch it. Although there are 3 high-order immeasurable beings, these 3 high-order immeasurable beings are involved, but there is no time to snatch them, so I great opportunity. Yi Tian thought to himself. Therefore, he fought against several great ancestors who besieged him, without revealing his strength at all. Although his cloned body is a creature that replicates the Void Galaxy, it also took time to recast it. Although its strength is not as strong as other bodies, it also has the ability to fight like a high-level life form, which is more suitable for this situation. Soon, the entrance to the treasury was breached by the ancestors, and at this time he rushed over. But the 3 high-level immeasurable beings were intercepted by the deep-water giant apes, and naturally it was a bit slower.